Don't know if you know this, Jay, but we don't actually record the video, but I just have it on.
I do know this.
Oh, okay.
I'm aware.
I'm aware. This week's guest review is going to be a weird one. These quotes are either really easy or really hard. I don't know.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay. How you doing?
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Coming in loud and clear.
Good, Anakin. Good.
Oh, is that what you were talking about with the 2K drive thing earlier?
Yeah.
The guy who does that free code every whatever.
Eh?
No, I've got this person I follow on Twitter who does a free code for a game like every week or something.
Right.
And he'll do like a tag it with your name or whatever, and I'll pick someone random. That just popped up on my thing. 2K Drive just popped up on my thing.
There you go.
Aye.
Jay, fun fact
Yeah.
for you. That's not very fun. Shrek 2 was released 19 years ago today.
That's kind of insane, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
I really like Shrek 2.
What did you just say?
I really like Shrek 2.
Good.
Did you think I said I didn't like it?
Yeah.
No, that's fucking awesome. Third one, not so great. Fourth one, not so great. First and second are legendary.
Agreed. I think Radio 2 were doing something on one Saturday afternoon many years ago, and it was like, what are the best sequels of all time? And people were like,
Shrek
Godfather
is up there.
2, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, Shrek 2.
Yeah,
Shrek fucking 2, man. Shrek 1's a
to the
classic,
Future
and
2.
yet Shrek 2 is just incredible.
That's funny. There is that thing about like the sequel curse, but I think there's so many good sequels out there.
Yeah, definitely.
I love it.
I think I would argue sequel albums are even harder to break.
What do you mean by break?
So as in, like, there's quite a few artists who have that. I mean, let's look at Pearl Jam, for instance.
First album is their best one.
Exactly. Let's look at Smashing Pumpkins. I know a lot of people like ish.
First two albums are really good.
All I mean is when someone comes out the gate with that sort of debut album, Korn debut album.
Do you know who's an exception to this?
Please.
Deftones. Their first album was shocking.
I like Bored.
No.
And the one that's like, fuck.
Same with I
it
think
7 words?
Chevelle as well. I think is it Chevelle's first album that I don't like? I've got to remind myself.
Who is Chevelle?
Who is Chevelle? My dad's going to be annoyed that you said that.
Ooh.
You need to listen to Chevelle, dude. I've actually got their new album I need to listen to as well.
Is this like another 36 Crazy Fists moment?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Chevelle's first album. Point number one. It's really not great. But their second album is their best.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
All right.
Oh, fuck me, it's so good. Chevelle was sort of that one of those bands that I put up there with Deftones, with I guess Coheed at one point.
How they
Circus
spell?
Survive. Huh?
How they spell?
Chevelle? CHE.
Yeah.
VELLE.
Got you.
I've definitely mentioned Chevelle to you before.
I mean, have you?
I'm curious how you would have said that word had I not told you how it was said.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I imagine a lot of people would be like Chevelle, but it's not. It's Chevelle.
It looks like I'm checking out this Wonder What's Next album.
Yeah, you definitely don't want the first album. Wonder What's Next is fucking phenomenal.
Okay, cool. It's on my list.
Yeah, I need to see the track list really quick.
I started listening to Peace for
The Red, I think, is probably one of their most known songs.
Okay. The Red.
It was one of the singles, I think. Man,
Okay.
Chevelle's one of those bands I listen to and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm in a good mood now.
Nice.
Like, ooh, it gets me in a really like creative, juicy kind of headspace.
Sure. Sounds good. Jay, let's crack on. So we've had a few weeks of big episodes, right? Big shows. He's listening to it. He's nodding. He's having a
I'm
good
not
time.
actually. I'm listening to it in my mind because I can like hear it. I'm listening. I'm being like, I'm just singing to it in my head right now. It's like, ooh yeah.
So we've had quite a few big episodes. Obviously, I'm still going through the editing process, but
And this week is going to be nothing in it because there's not much to talk about at the minute.
hell yeah, bro. So we're gonna
One
the
of them
plan
lulls.
is do a normal show and maybe try and do some different things to basically. I mean, I don't know if yeah, I don't mind saying. So, like, the idea is we do some off things that aren't necessarily time or date related. So that if we have some weeks where I, for instance, can't record or Jay can't record,
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
you're too social, man.
way too social. Way
And
too
I'm too
social.
much of an introvert. I'm always here.
Goldilocks somewhere in between, hey?
Yeah, man.
So we're trying to do it so that, like, as I say, we've got some backups when we need them. And also, I did say to Jay, I could just always check the diary. So if I can't record it the next week, we would
Yeah,
just
it's
record it the
hilarious.
week
You'll
before.
always be like, oh, no podcast. Like the day before, or even the day of, you'll be like, oh, no podcast this week. I'm on holiday, or I'm
Yeah,
at a wedding, or
yeah,
going
yeah.
out for a meal, or going to the cinema, whatever it might be.
I mean, I know we can't record next week, but I think I told you that. Or the week after. Oh Christ!
Oh no.
No, we can record next week. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. But we can't record the week after, or the week after that. So this is why. This is why. This is why. This is why. Okay, we're gonna start, Jay, with some achievement
Buddy
archive.
once told me. Yeah.
World is gonna. We're gonna start with some achievement archive, Jay.
Ooh, yummy.
So let's get back to it. Where were we at? So, guys, Achievement Archive, a clever name for a clever segment. Basically, we're just diving in to we're just diving into Jay's achievements and just talking through some old games. If I had a bigger computer and more money, we'd be going looking at gameplay while we do this, but
Dude,
I
if I had
don't.
more money, I probably wouldn't be here right now.
Whoa! Oh! Whoa!
Whoa!
Oh God!
I'd be in a much bigger house. That's where I'd be.
Our house. Do you like madness?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. But before we do that, what is Lady Sif's weapon of choice?
Ooh.
Sword and shield, spear, throwing stars, or bow and arrow? Can you see through these?
No, it's one of the first two. It's either A or B.
What are you going for?
I think it's A. I think she's more of a sword lady.
You are correct. Well done.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Is that one of the
I like
one
that
of Thor's
actress
mates?
too. Yeah, it's one of the sort of group of people that he hangs out with. One of his band of brothers, as it were.
Don't you love it, Jay, how, like, for two films, they try and set that up and develop it, and then they listen to fans, so in Ragnarok, like, Taika Waititi's just like, kill them all. Kill them all. Or was it in the Avengers? I can't even remember.
Hang on. There's a really famous actor who was in that first movie who that you wouldn't remember who was in it.
Gerard Butler?
Oh, no, hang on. I think who played Shazam?
Oh, I don't know his name.
Hang on. Yeah, let me look. I'm pretty sure he's in it. He's one of the group of people.
Really?
Yeah, I could be wrong. Zachary Levi. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, he was in Thor: The Dark World. There we go. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, he was one of the group of people.
That's mental.
I know. You wouldn't recognize him too because he had red hair.
The one with the beard.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, not the big beard, but
I think that was like one of his first things that people like recognized him for. He was Fandral. There we go.
Fair play to you, Zach.
Literally, there's like a group of three guys who are like they're called the Warriors Three. There we go. That's what it was. They're like Thor's like group of lads essentially.
Yeah, sure.
And he's one of them. Yeah, Hogan, Volstagg, and Fandral. There we go. Yeah.
Mental.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't know
mental.
it. You wouldn't know it.
Yeah, no.
He's very unrecognizable.
Huh.
I'm glad you brought that up though.
The cards brought it up. The cards told us.
And believe in the heart of the cards. Yeah.
So, Jay, if I say to you the words "just
Uh-oh.
cause,"
Oh yeah, that brings back a lot of very odd memories.
okay,
One of those memories being, I remember when I bought. Is it an 18? Do you remember? Is it 18?
I'll have a look while you say
I'm
the
pretty
story.
sure it is because I remember buying it and my mum being like, Should I buy this for him?"
I think it's a 15, but we were young at the time.
And I remember I was this scary, buddy. Oh, I find it weird how much of a memory I have for this. But I remember we bought it. I was didn't have my own money, so mum bought it for me. And then she regretted buying it for me, and like was saying I'm gonna take it, but she like threatened to take it back, and I was crying because I was like, I really want to play this game. Oh man, yeah. Do you know what's funny? I think about that memory a lot, like
Sure.
a lot. It's one of those ones that just sort of like sticks in my memory. I remember I got the guide for it as well. I wonder if I still got the guide around here somewhere. I must do. It must be somewhere in the house. Either that or it's got burned
Um,
out. One of the two.
I'm pretty sure it was like that. It was a 50. So games in the UK, for those who don't know, because obviously we've got loads of USA listeners. Games will
Yeah.
have the 15, like the red 15, which seems more
Oh, is that what
harsh
it
than
was?
the
That
black
could have
and
been
white
it. Yeah.
16 plus. Do you remember like the
Yeah. It definitely.
differences?
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it was either like it was red, but it was either. I'm pretty. I don't know. It's probably
Yeah,
18s.
the 15 rating in the UK looks harsher than the 16 plus rating in the UK, believe it or not. So
It's
yeah, so Jay, in terms of the game,
ESRB, isn't it? Is that what it's called?
say again, sorry.
It's ESRB is the name of the rating system.
Oh, I've only got mature. I thought it had a 15 on the box, but there we are.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get a box copy of it. Let's have a look.
It just has M on it. Yeah. Did you realize it was on original Xbox?
No, I didn't.
I think I had it on 360, but it was
Jay,
on
I think
original
you're
Xbox.
right. I think it
I
was
think
an
because I knew
18.
it came out just as the 360 came out. I think it might have been one of the first games I ever bought.
Oh no, 15. Okay. Yeah, that's right. I think it was one of the first games you bought on
Oh
360.
yeah, it does have 16 on it. Huh. 16 plus.
Weird. Anyway,
Hmm.
so let's talk about the
Anyway,
game itself, Jay. So please.
yeah, it kind of it's. It was one of those ones where you had like a lot of freedom, right? It was like very open. The sky was the limit, and you could just sort of like zip about. I remember like those kind of games where you just sort of have like a mobility option that allows you to move in a really odd way back then was like super satisfying. Oh man, I can't remember the name of the game, but there was this piratey type game where like the I don't know why, but you could like float about almost. It was like a very floaty game. I don't know if it was like a bug or a glitch with the game, but I remember like you could like jump almost like you were on the moon. Like the gravity was less or something. But I remember it just felt really, really nice. And whenever I think about the Just Cause, it kind of reminds me of that, of just that kind of like maneuver, a mobility option that allows you to move in a certain way that just feels nice. Like,
Cool.
that kind of feeling when like you're in a game and you jump off a high building and you're falling and you get that kind of like pit in your stomach of like, oh fuck, I'm actually falling. Like, it kind of reminds me of that as well. A very similar kind of feeling, but in a nice way. It's almost not like orgasmic, but like kind of nice. Like when you sneeze and it feels good. Kind of feels like that. Are
I know when I pee and it feels good. I'm not sure about sneeze.
you kidding? You've never
Nah.
had like a really fucking good sneeze, like where it
My
just
sneezes are
feels
pretty
like
bad, actually. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, I need to work on my sneeze game. But
you
anyway,
do. Your sneezes are notorious. Let's just put it that way.
sure.
Notorious. But
Big.
achievement wise, yeah, I remember I definitely tried to hunt for them, but I seem to remember them being really annoying because that game was just full of collectibles and really hard things to get. I kind of back then I didn't really play games for like to complete them. I played them just to play them. Does that make sense?
Of
Like
course.
Just Cause to me is almost a little bit like Vice City or San Andreas, where I didn't really like play the game. I just sort of like ran about and put the cheats on and flew about in my car. Like that was pretty much it.
At
Like I didn't
some
actually
point
do the
in
story.
in this era, Jay, in 360 era, we changed the way we
Yeah,
play
we
games.
transitioned from a game was something that you could just like have a bit of a muckabout in to, oh, there's actually a story here and I can follow it if I'd like. There's a progression. Like that didn't really exist before like age 12, I don't think. I think it was somewhere roughly around that early teen kind of mode, I imagine. I mean, what was it like for you? You played Just Cause 1, didn't you?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, Jay, this I know it sounds like I've probably talked about this before with you, but the, this is one of those iconic games where you got brought the magazine game. I think it was Games Master, and
Yeah,
we were both, you especially, obviously, very interested in this game for months and
yeah,
months and months. And the whole, like, I remember the screenshots. I remember you saying, like, you're in this massive world, you're liberating outposts, you're like this rebel against this like tyrannical government,
yeah. Sort of like a
and
Che Guevara type thing.
and obviously one of the first sort of big games, shall we say, on 362. So I remember you playing it, loving it. I think I played it maybe a couple of years after it came out, but I think it was before Just Cause 2 came out.
Yeah, because I remember you got Just Cause 2 and I didn't bother, and I remember you went hard on that.
Dude, so can't even remember when I played Just Cause 2.
I think I can remember. I think it
Go
was the
on.
Xbox One days.
Really?
I think it was one of your ones we were like, oh, this is on backwards compatibility. I'll play this. So it must have been roughly 2014, 15.
Sure.
I don't think it was much later than that. You could
Wow.
probably look actually when you got the achievements, couldn't you?
That's true. I probably could, yeah. So
I'd be so happy if I got that dead on.
I'll have a
I
look.
have a
I'll have a look.
feeling you played it in Xbox One days. I could be wrong,
No,
but I'm pretty sure you did.
I think you might be right there. But Jay, Just Cause 2 is a bit of a blur for me because, like you say, I played that game for like a month straight, and I
Yeah, I
honestly
remember.
I had such an effing blast with it. I can't even tell you. I can't even
Like,
tell you.
Just Cause though has sort of become that game where it stuck around too long. I think it shouldn't have had a third or a fourth game.
Sure,
I
sure,
think it should have died after the second.
sure,
I think 3 and 4 were just a bit of a cash grab, and it's sort of, to me, Just Cause has sort of become the villain. It's sort of become like a Gears of War, like a Halo. I'm just sort of fed up with seeing it now.
sure.
Just like, just stop, make something new, please. But that's Ubisoft for you, I guess, right? Ubisoft have Just Cause.
No, I don't think they do. I don't think they
I
do.
thought they did.
Um, it's made by Avalanche.
Oh, do EA not? EA and
Yeah,
Ubisoft
I'm not
maybe.
sure. Nordisk Film, like I don't
Okay,
think
okay.
so.
I'm
Don't
mixing
think
that
so.
up, obviously.
But the studio itself's really big now, Jay. I mean, they helped with also making
Yeah, they've
Rage
helped other
2,
people. Yeah,
Generation Zero, which apparently is a very, very bad game, and then also Mad Max, the video game.
yeah. No, I still need to finish that.
Great
I've
game.
started to play that game like 3 or 4 times.
Love that game. I'm just
Yeah,
looking now. But yeah, you're right, Jay. Just Cause 2, I genuinely adored, but Just Cause 1 was a really great game in its time. I've got to agree with you. I actually tried out 4, Jay, because I was like, oh, well, maybe if there's a fourth one and people say it's all right, maybe like you'll get that same feeling you got playing the first and second one. Nah, played
nah.
it for 10 minutes and I was like, I'm out.
I'm now looking at Avalanche. Actually, I didn't realize, but the publisher for the first one was Eidos. Eidos.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Same for the second one, and then Just Cause 3 and 4 was Square Enix publishers.
Oh,
So that's probably what I'm getting mixed up with. I don't know why I'm getting mixed up with that. But
huh.
strange that they must have bought it. I imagine.
Oh,
Well,
of
I guess
course it's Square
Eidos.
Enix. Yeah, of course,
Yeah, because
yeah.
Eidos is part of Square Enix. Not anymore, but they were, weren't they?
Mhm. Mhm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually.
I wonder what
Yeah.
they're working on now. It says Contraband. Oh, they're working on Contraband. Okay.
Oh, right. Is that
Yeah, the
Xbox
new thing
exclusive, Jay?
that's Xbox Game Studios. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Does Avalanche own them now? Xbox own Avalanche now?
They
I
must
don't
do.
think so. Oh, don't think so. Anyway, I'm just looking at the achievements, Jay, for Just Cause, and
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing them actually. It probably would jog my memory.
yeah, I mean, you've got all story missions. You have got all the provinces as well. Jay, I remember having quite a lot of fun in the liberation missions, similar to Crackdown. Fun. Does that make sense?
Yes, it definitely feels like a very Crackdown era type game. Yeah.
And then you've got every race
I seem
mission.
to remember them being really difficult actually, these achievements, but to be honest, they probably aren't that bad.
It's saying it's a 6 out of 10 difficulty, 25 hours. Okay, Jay, if I may hijack this very quickly.
Yeah,
25
man.
hours, guys, for a full completion on a triple A game. We're lucky if a game these days is 25 hours story.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is I miss these length type of games. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I want more short games that are good quality, not indie games.
Hmm.
Thought, what are you looking at?
No, I was just seeing if I could see if I actually had the achievements, but I can't check on my things. That's right.
Oh, okay. I will see
Fair
if I
enough.
can get them up. Also, I'm still looking for my Just Cause 2 one. We're going back in. We're going very far back here, Jay. Let me tell you. Let me
We
tell you.
certainly are.
Holy
I
moly!
could have swore it was like Xbox One days.
Oh, okay. So I've got Just Cause 1. I've got 565G, 29 out of 50 achievements. Played it in 2009, 5th of
Okay.
April,
I
2009.
think I played it 2008.
Um,
So yeah, right after.
in terms of rarity of achievements, most of them look pretty achievable. Like
Yeah.
6%, 5%, 4%. Nothing that's got like 1% or 0.2%. Maybe it got a bit repetitive for both of us, perhaps.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, I'm keeping going. Did you platinum? Did you get all the achievements for the King Kong game?
I don't think so.
Okay, man, we are going in the darkest depths of my achievement list right now.
Kind of wish I could search on mine, but I can't.
Do 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 do
There
do
it
do.
is. I only got 385 on the original.
Really?
When does it say I played it?
Surprises
Does it?
me.
It doesn't say when I played it.
Here we go, sir. Here we go. Are you ready?
Fuck.
Oh, Jay.
Was I way off?
2011.
Wow. 360 days.
So here's
Jesus
one for you.
Christ.
So I got 800G,
Okay, yeah,
37 out of
definitely put
50
some time in.
achievements, and the highest achievement I've got, the most recent one, 20th of April 2011, so 2 years after the first one, reach 75% completion in normal mode or mercenary mode. 1.62% of gamers unlocked it.
Sweet.
I'm kind of happy with that.
Good, yeah.
Wow, apparently I completed the game on hardcore difficulty.
Oh. You went that
Weird.
hard.
Oh, yeah, it must have been really easy. Yeah, some of these achievements are very hard. Very hard. Or I struggled to get them.
Okay.
Man, you're making me want to download this game, but I'm not going to do that to myself. I'm not going to do that to
Yeah, no,
myself.
I wouldn't if I were you.
Yeah, no.
That's not the best idea.
Anyway, shall we move on, Jay?
Please.
Okay, next game for you. We're getting into territory now of games I've also played. Hexic HD.
Okay.
You remember this game?
I do, yeah. I just saw it on my list.
This, I believe, was a game that was already installed for those who had an Xbox 360 when it came out.
Yes, yeah. It came with the Xbox. Yeah, I
And
remember
it's
that.
like a bit of like a kind of like a Tetrisy game, but like with hexagons.
I just want to go back really quick.
Please, yeah.
According to my list here, apparently I unlocked an achievement in Just Cause in December of 2015.
What
I definitely didn't play it then.
is that like one that popped late?
No, I think they're all like it. So I think what it might have been, it happened at 4 in the morning. So I have a feeling it might have just been one of those things where like because it's such an old 360 thing, it might have only like tracked it after like many years, if that makes sense.
Or do you think you just fancied going back into it late night, like
Well, no,
late one
because it
night?
says every single one of my achievements I unlocked at 4:53 in the morning on the 17th of December 2015. Every single one achievement.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
there's obviously like a glitch there, clearly.
Yeah,
That's very odd.
that's not the case. Jay, I will say the first game's looking pretty old.
Okay.
Sadly.
What are you talking about? I'm confused.
Sorry, as in the first Just Cause game, I'm just looking at some screenshots looking very old now.
Oh yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't look great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ah, it's a shame. It's a shame. But yeah. All right. More Mad Max games, please, guys, or something else if you prefer.
Well,
But yeah,
they're doing the Furiosa movie,
are
but
they
I don't know
doing
if
that,
they'll get
Jay? That
anything.
right?
Yeah. It's
How?
funny because the Mad Max maybe might as well have just been called Furiosa because it wasn't even about Mad Max. It was about Furiosa.
Well, that's true. But also, Jay, the Mad Max Fury Road was in development hell and turned out to be an incredible film. So you
Bloody
would have
amazing,
thought that
yeah.
this film would be made pretty quickly after, considering the success of the film, and yet it's not.
Okay.
I just thought it'd be interesting. I thought that was
Well, Mad Max
interesting.
is one of those sort of like forever things. It can come out whenever, really, can't it?
Yeah, sure,
So
sure.
you just reminded me. Actually, I saw an article a little while ago about how Bioshock 4 is apparently in development hell.
Okay.
I don't know if it was real or not because I was like, this isn't even like a rumor that I've heard or anything. I didn't even realize it was in development. I was like, what?
Right. Okay.
That confused me. I was like, okay. Apparently, it's not. It's been rebooted 4 times. Apparently, as in they've gone back to
Really?
square one 4 times. Which is probably why it's taken so long to come out.
Oh God.
That doesn't sound good. To be honest, Bioshock is again one of those games where I'm like, I just don't want to see another one. It's had its day.
Well, in that
Genuinely,
sense,
it's had
then
its
this is
day.
good news for you, right?
It's
Because
very good news for me.
yeah, yeah,
It's had its day.
sure, I get that.
It had its time to shine onto the net. Like the people who are making it right now should have given up with it and just made something new. Well, which a
Harsh.
lot of them had. There's a couple of games coming out that have got ex Bioshock developers. That new Avium game,
Okay.
pretty sure that's got some old Bioshock developers on it. Bioshock and Call of Duty developers, I think.
Apparently, I don't own any Just Cause game digitally, but that seems wrong.
No, I think I've got all mine physical. Yeah.
Okay, so Hexic HDJ, you have any particular thoughts about this game? I mean, you've got. Let's have a look here. You've got 3 achievements. I had none. So,
Yeah, I've played it for a brief amount of time. It was just one of those things where I didn't really have anything else.
of
I
course,
might have played it like the second I turned on my Xbox. I was like, oh, I got a game now. I'll just try this out.
that will be the last time, Jay, we will ever get that experience of there's not many games to play on here, so I'll try this weird indie thing, right? Because like from
Will it
now
be the
on,
last time?
sorry.
Will it?
Yeah, because every time now a new console comes out, we'll just have all our big, massive digital libraries with us.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, okay, fine.
If
Yes,
you
yes,
get
yes,
me.
yes, yes. I get you.
Even when the 360 first came out, we still had discs, right? We're still looking at discs mainly, so
Yeah, that's true.
beginning to kind of go in that digital marketplace. But anyway,
Mm.
last game for this week, Jay, Shadowrun.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, they brought out more games of that, right? But didn't they make them into like XCOM games?
Yeah, I think so. But were they old
Because
games or like are they new games?
they're fairly old, I think. They re-released them, but I'm pretty sure the original Shadowrun was almost like an arena kind
FPS?
of FPS. Well, it wasn't even the first person; it was third person.
Was it?
If you remember, yeah, Shadowrun originally was third person, sort of arena type, MOBA type thing, where you picked I think a light, a medium, or a heavy class. It was a bit like Brink, where you sort of picked a light, medium, or heavy class, I think, and then you could be like an elf or like something else, and they had like
Dude,
different magical powers, and you could like glide and stuff. Do you remember that?
yeah.
Yeah, that's weird memories right there. Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, I remember other people playing it a lot more than me, and me sort of observing, but I never
Dude,
really played it myself that hard.
that's bringing back some memories. I don't
I
even
still
have the
have Brink.
game, and it's
That was
bringing
a
back
fun game.
memories.
I think again the developers of Brink are making something too at the minute.
I thought that studio went bust, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I think there was a couple devs who are like broke off and they're starting to make something else.
That was such an interesting looking game. Was it any good in the end?
I liked it.
Okay.
I just think it was. I'm trying to remember who made it. It was Splash Damage.
Splash Damage,
Yeah,
yeah.
Bethesda.
Yeah, Bethesda published it.
Yeah. Oh, so they're making the new Transformers game.
Oh, Tencent owned them.
There we
Yay.
go.
Worked on Stadia for a bit.
They made Gears Tactics.
Not great.
They also helped with a lot of the Gears games.
Oh yeah, Master Chief
Arkham
Collection.
Origins.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
How interesting. Okay, Arkham Origins is multiplayer. Jesus. Yeah, no, interesting. But in terms of Shadowrun itself, Jay,
Yes.
again, 360 memories. I
Mm.
got it off Love Film. I think I had it for a week or so, and the game to me looked a lot cooler than it was, if that makes sense.
Yes. No, I agree. I agree with you there. That's what. Yeah. There's loads of games like that.
There is like the idea of it, the cover of it looks really really cool, but ultimately, yeah, it was not for me at all. It really wasn't. So like
Fair
I
enough.
wasn't interested in those games now or sorry then or now, but alas. So
Oh my god! I just saw a screenshot of like something that I haven't seen in so long. Oh my god, Shadowrun, dude! This game is insane. Oh my god, that brings back so many weird memories.
you just looking at a screenshot of the game or
Just a single screenshot and it's scaring me. Oh, I forgot it looked like that. Oh, it looks so different in my head. What? Oh my! It looks like bloody Half Life. That's what it looks like. Oh my god! It's like a better version of Half Life. It's kind of what it looks like.
send me the screenshot, Jay.
Hang on, maybe it was first person.
I think it was. What
No,
screenshot? By
there's
the way,
definitely I'm just looking at a third person and a first person thing, so I think there might have been both.
the cover was always sick. By the way, just want to
I
put that
think it
out
was
there.
mainly first, but I think there was a class you could play that had like a melee weapon, and it made you go into third person.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's
you're right.
why.
I
That's
think
what
you're
I'm getting
right.
confused with. Yeah, there was like a katana you could get, and it put you in third person. That'll be it. That'll be it.
So
Wow,
yeah.
bloody hell.
So yeah, Achievement Archive, guys. There we go. So let's
Trip
move on
down
to the
memory
news for
lane.
this week, Jay. We've got a fair amount to talk about with the news, I would say.
Yeah.
Let's begin.
Begin.
The challenge began. Here we go. Wait, what? Oh, is this an opinion piece? Ah, okay. We have an opinion piece here by Destin Legary over at IGN, one of the hosts, panel people. He's on Podcast Unlocked. Destin's got some really cool. I say that pedantically. I doesn't mean to come across pedantically. Destin's, be commented on video games for a long, long time, and he's got some really interesting ideas, especially about Xbox. And I find his takes very refreshing. Jay, I don't know about you.
Me too. Yeah. I
Yeah,
follow him on Twitter. He has some good stuff to say.
he does. He really does, along with Ryan McCaffrey.
Yeah, those two to me, I like the OG IGN guys.
100%. 100%. So he's got an opinion piece here, Jay, about Starfield feeling like Xbox's last chance of redemption, which obviously we've touched on
I think both
shortly.
him and Ryan have basically said the same thing in multiple instances. To be honest, I just keep hearing about it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Go on.
Well, no, I feel like they're both sort of the same mind that Xbox is in a bit of a ditch right now, and they have to fucking dig themselves out with Starfield. And that if that doesn't go right, like people are gonna fucking be like they just really fucking annoyed. I'm just checking out Destin's Twitter right now because he has said quite a few things.
Jay, I think what frustrates me about this whole situation, to be honest, is that Starfield has now become, unfortunately, just as important from a Xbox interest viewpoint as it is from a game. We're getting so caught up in how it sits, where it sits within Xbox as a brand, that we're almost losing. We're losing the interest in just the game itself. Like
I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I
Wait,
can
wait,
see what you mean though, and as like a general, I can see what you mean. To me, it kind of almost feels like we're talking about it so much that it's going to have a bit of a cyberpunk
exactly,
launch where it's
exactly,
like all the hype is just going to go by the time we get there,
exactly.
which wouldn't have happened if they stuck to their June release date.
All I mean is that there is so much extra pressure now because they're part of
Yeah, way too
Xbox,
much.
and that frustrates me because like, well, it frustrates me just because I want a great game, you want a great game. Let's just look at the game, right? Like Spider-Man. Okay, let's use a different example. Final Fantasy 16. We want to be great. We're not that concerned about where it sits within the Sony portfolio and how it represents PlayStation. Obviously, PlayStation have got an absolute get with it being exclusive, but we're more concerned about the game itself, I would say. Whereas Starfield, there is a concern about the game itself, but there is also now a big concern of the Xbox brand and how important it is to that too. You know?
I feel about FF16 the same way I felt about 15, where I'm like, oh, I don't know. Ooh, I don't know. Like I'm sort of like on the edge of like, oh, I don't know if it's gonna be good. It
Sure.
doesn't look very good. Like there's parts of when I look at Final Fantasy 16 where I'm like, that doesn't look very fun, or that doesn't look like interesting to me. Like I think the story still doesn't quite grab me as much as it should do. I actually think this might be one of the weaker Final Fantasy 16 stories I've seen, or just Final Fantasy stories I've seen.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, so I'm going in with the lowest expectations, which I
Which
shouldn't ever say about Final Fantasy. It kind of makes me sad that I'm saying that. But
no, I think no. I think that's the right thing to do.
yeah, I think you kind of have to with everything nowadays. But yeah. So Destin, he like his like he on his Twitter to like show that he'd done this IGN article. He sort of put hot take: Starfield's Xbox's most important game since Halo 1.
Wow.
What do you think about that, Nick? How does that make you feel? Because Halo 1 was like the defining Xbox game, right? It was like the game that came out. Was it a launch title?
It was a launch title. Yeah.
Like it literally skyrocketed Xbox into where it is today. Um, it sort of launched them into the 360 era. And I have a feeling that yeah, Starfield kind of has to have a similar trajectory, which is annoying that people are saying that actually, because the more I hear it, the more I'm like, well, if it doesn't, then we're
Is it
fucked.
a failure? Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I feel like there's people are setting the expectations way too high, which is
I
funny
just
because they
can't.
need to be high. Because Xbox, if they the expectations are so low now, the bar is so beyond underground. It's like
Yeah.
just anything even remotely good is going to be fucking. Which is, I think, genuinely why Hi-Fi Rush did so well. Hi-Fi Rush, had it been released normally, would not have done that well. Not even close.
Yeah. Agreed.
It wouldn't even got the fucking time of day. People would have been like, "Oh, this is a cool game." It would have been in and out within a few days. People would have forgotten about it. But because Xbox have so low expectations, like they release anything that's even remotely good, people just go nuts for it.
Yeah. I
Which is
think
probably a good strategy actually, because everything's good that way.
sure, but yeah, in terms of the Halo One thing, Jay, I can't see Starfield having that sort of an impact.
Well,
Being
to be
honest,
honest, I have a feeling they've already had that with Skyrim. I think Skyrim is that.
but how do you make Skyrim again? You know,
That's the thing. It's like Bethesda sort of have to catch lightning in a bottle twice
right?
again.
Yeah.
I feel like every time Bethesda release a game, they've caught lightning in a bottle every time.
Apart from maybe 76, maybe Fallout 4. Some people would argue. I wouldn't personally,
Yeah,
but
okay. So 3, Skyrim, Oblivion,
yeah, all three are.
and hopefully Starfield are going to be like Bethesda's miracle moments, essentially.
What I will say is that the last time Todd announced that they were going to do a direct on it for June, I got a very good sense from him on how he feels about the
Yeah,
game. I mean, Jay, basically an extra year of development, it's got to make some pretty big impact, right? Especially when
fucking
apparently
hope
the
so.
game was done like apparently the game I think I think they've been polishing for
Playable.
a year and a half, nearly 2 years at this point. So
Well, you got to think like how much if Fallout 3 had that much shit in it, how much
right,
is a game that's going to have space and hundreds of planets in it? How much like how much stuff is that going to have in it?
but it's
Like
got to
we're
be
talking
good
about a
quality,
state
right?
like Washington State versus a galaxy.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna have to be mind blowing, you know.
Yeah,
There
totally.
has to be so much to do. Like on each planet, there has to be like tens, if not hundreds, of quests on each planet.
It's true, but
Like that's like the ambition is actually higher than I think than Cyberpunk, which does scare me because Cyberpunk ambition was high, but it was
really
doable,
high.
and it should have done. It should have had a lot more in it, but it didn't.
I mean, I've only played
It was a
Cyberpunk for like a
city, for
couple of
fuck's
hours,
sake.
which you know, Jay, and the city itself is impressive. But the amount of
Very
mechanics and systems that are being played,
going on at one time,
oh
yeah,
my
it's a
god,
lot, which is why it struggled.
it is a lot. But as you
It was
say,
a hell
that
of a
in
lot.
relation to Destin's article here, Jay, what I will say is that I'm sure Xbox have assisted in the development, but also if
But
Starfield
for how long?
if Starfield is a great success, I'm not sure I'm going to give Xbox that much credit, to be
No, because
honest with you.
Starfield isn't the end all be all of right. Okay, Xbox is now redeemed. They've made a 10 out of 10 game. Doesn't really matter what they do next. So it's like, no, they need to keep this up now. Because as far as Sony's concerned, is they've kept it up for like the last decade.
Right.
Like they've released at least one or two 10 out of 10 games for the last 10 years every
Yeah,
year,
yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah,
at least, right?
yeah.
Bloodborne was one of them.
You start with Bloodborne. Let's say we started with Bloodborne, which is what 2015,
2014.
20.
Actually, no, it might have been January 2015. Yeah, I could be wrong. Yeah.
I would say almost every year since then we've an amazing game, at
We've had
least amazing
two
every
God of
year.
Wars, two Horizons,
Uncharted 4, Last of Us Part
Uncharted,
2,
Last of Us, Last of Us Part 2.
Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon
Because
Zero
that's
Dawn.
9 already.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
and how how many can you list off for Xbox? Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I guess Senua counts.
But that was a PlayStation exclusive to begin with.
Was it?
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah,
was it really?
yeah,
I
yeah,
could have
yeah.
swore that was an Xbox thing.
No, no.
Oh no,
Oh yeah, that started on
that's not a
PlayStation,
good
bro.
look. That's not a good look.
Yep,
Oh, I
yep.
didn't even realize that. I genuinely thought that was just an Xbox thing.
It looks like a PlayStation game if you think about it.
I guess you could say Forza, but even then, I don't
Ugh,
really think
yeah.
didn't have the same impact.
I'm struggling here, Jay. What genuinely was the last Cuphead? Maybe.
No, I mean, we're talking about has global impact here.
I thought Cuphead had a global impact, but that's okay. I really don't know, Jay. I really don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to Google it.
I really don't know.
Oh, that's worrying, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Okay, okay. I guess this somewhat leads into the next one.
Oh yes. Yeah.
I was going to talk about the episode 594 of Unlocked.
Go on.
Did you watch this or no? I think I sent you a link about it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I told you, yo, watch this because this is awesome.
Oh, okay. So you know my thoughts, Jay. I'm not that. I don't care for predictions, but I listen to all their thoughts about everything going on with the.
Yeah, so the start of it was sort of like Redfall, Starfield, where the fuck is Xbox at?
Yeah.
And then the end of it was like, right, we've got a showcase coming. What do we think's coming?
Yeah.
That was it was like split into two, really. So
Yeah.
it was more because it was around. They basically spoke about what we spoke about on ours,
Yeah.
about the interview that Phil Spencer did, and about how I can't remember either. I think Ryan was sort of like I think one of the things that I loved about what he said, Ryan said, is there's someone inside at Xbox that spoke to Ryan, saying something about that they're
Weren't pleased
what
with
was
what
it?
Phil Spencer said, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Weren't pleased about because the general consensus is Phil's like when we spoke about it a little bit, but Phil saying that great games don't get sales. Like everyone was like, "The fuck you on, dude." And even they agreed, which I was kind of surprised. I mean, not surprised because I feel like Ryan is pretty, and both Destin are very, very like real when it comes to their opinions on about Xbox or just consoles in general. But it was nice to see some of the old heads like be like, "The fuck you chatting about, dude?" Like that's exactly what happens. I mean, we've watched it happen for the last decade at least. So I don't know what he's going on about. I think it was just a copium, I guess. You know what copium is, don't you?
No.
Oh my god, you're not online enough. Um, when you know someone when like you cope with something, like you're putting up with it,
Yeah.
and then if someone has hopium, it means they're like Oh god, this is such a weird like
Surely this
inside
relates to
internet.
opium, the drug, no?
No, it's just like it's like if someone's got copium, it just means they're coping a lot. So they're trying to like
They're trying to use excuses to cope with
yeah, it's kind
something.
of like an excuse to like cope about something or like put up with something. It's
Sure.
like oh, it's one of those things you just have to kind of see it in context. But yeah, it's a lot of copium is basically what I'm trying to say. For those who know, that you know.
If you know, you know.
Exactly. If you know, you
Okay,
know.
well, there we go.
Jesus Christ. I'm
I'm
guessing you
too
didn't watch
much
it
of a
then. You weren't too
non-virgin.
fussed.
No, joking. Go on, sorry.
You weren't too fussed about the unlocked. You
Uh,
didn't bother.
yeah, no, I did. I listened to the whole thing about what
Oh,
they
okay.
talked about with
Good
Xbox. I
stuff.
just didn't listen to the predictions.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I loved what they said. Actually, like you said, Joe, I was like, thank God that I know it sounds a bit tribalistic, but thank God they agree with us in terms of
Yeah, it was nice. I feel like it was a fairly rounded. Like there were definitely arguments on both sides of like Phil was good for doing this what he said and bad for doing this. Like it wasn't like all one sided, which is what I like.
I
I
think
like
that
it to be in the middle,
I don't know
obviously.
if these guys said it specifically right, but I think the general consensus and feedback, Jay, is everything that Xbox has done, including some behind the scene changes of culture, has all been super positive. But you're missing the core, the very, very core aspect, which is great games. You're literally like everything else. And I think ultimately we would rather take everything else. This is unfortunate. We would rather have no Game Pass, no good culture. I know this
Mm.
sounds horrible, but I'm just saying
No,
from our
I kind of
consumer
agree with you to be
perspective,
honest.
we would rather take all that out and have
And
great
just have
games.
like one or two AAA 10 out of 10 games every year.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I
we
agree.
would that like no backwards compatibility. We take all that out, and we'd rather just have the great games. Like I
Yeah,
think
I
that's
mean,
true.
you're just describing PlayStation pretty much, aren't
Right,
you?
exactly,
Although they do
exactly.
have PS
Plus,
Plus stuff now, don't they? So
yeah, which is a bit wonky, but yeah. So
sure.
I really liked what they were saying. I appreciate that they respectfully disagreed, and I'm glad they did because it made me.
Hopeful.
If they were like, yeah, we agree with Phil, I would feel like, okay, well, I don't know what the hell's going on
Yeah,
now.
it kind of makes me feel like, well, what, like lost a little bit. Like
Right.
I feel like I can't relate necessarily.
Yeah.
Like it kind of
Exactly.
made me feel good that the people who have been around for a while, like understand, have a similar mindset to what us who haven't been around as long, but still a decent amount of time. I guess that brings me to my next point then.
That seems sneeze game. How weak that sneeze game was, Jay.
Yeah, that was pretty weak, and it probably didn't feel very good. No.
No, it didn't. No.
Um,
I need
do you
to
have
let myself sneeze. You know what I
do
mean?
you have you do you really do? Do you have any like a one or two games that you want to see at the Xbox um showcase? Like what are the like the one or two top ones where you're like if it's not there, I'll be disappointed.
Okay. So jokes aside, being serious, I want to see Hellblade 2 and I want to see a release date
Mhm.
and I want to see Fable.
Okay. That
All
makes
right.
sense.
What about you?
I think now Hellblade is yes.
Whoop whoop. Jay's on the Hellblade
Um
hype.
I'm trying to think what else they've got in development at the minute. Let me just double check.
No, please. There's a lot.
Here
Just to
we
give you
go.
some ideas, Jay, we don't know what Compulsion Games are making, and they did We Happy Few. We don't know if there's another Forza game. We've got Forza Motorsport coming, I guess. We don't know what Double Fine are doing. We don't know what Machine Games are doing, who made Wolfenstein 2 and 1, all the new Wolfenstein games. They're making an Indiana Jones game, which we haven't
Yep.
seen.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is funny because the
yeah.
new movie is not doing very well right now. So the
Yes.
game is going to have a bit of a tough go of things. It seems.
Well, hopefully the game's better than the movie, right?
This Avowed game, I still have no idea. Like if I should be excited about it.
So this is Obsidian's
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls.
Right. Okay. In that case, then I might be excited about it.
Maybe back it. What I mean is, it's like an Outer Worlds but fantasy in scope.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Maybe not then. Maybe less. Outer Worlds is like.
Well, that's what I mean. I can't imagine
Yeah.
they're going to make the scale of something like Elder
I kind of
Scrolls
want to
in
see
3
what id
years.
Software are up to. I really hope they're not making another Doom game.
I agree, Jay. A great point. Doom Eternal, a masterpiece. What are they
Yeah,
making,
do
Jay?
something different,
What
please.
are
Id
they
have
making?
they have. I remember when id came out with their new engine, like their new stuff they were working on, because they made the first Rage game, and that was that was like next level graphics back then. That was
Yeah.
like the thing that everyone was trying to copy. I remember, but I feel like they still have that. They haven't done much with it other than made Doom. And like, yes, Doom is great. I wanted to see them branch out a little bit. I want to see them do something else.
I think
Like,
they
make something
will, Jay.
amazing, you know?
So Doom Eternal, as I've told you, Jay. So Doom 2016, a great game. Okay, maybe
Mm.
it was a very good game. A return to form for id, right? And then Doom Eternal was like, whoa. Like they took 5 years to make that game, Jay. Doom Eternal came out in 2021. Like that's crazy, right?
Mhm.
So it wasn't just like a sequel. Like I think they really were like, okay, we're gonna make the definitive Doom game here. And then they had 2 fairly big DLCs, The Ancient Gods Part 1 and 2, and that genuinely concluded the story that they were telling in these games. So that
Okay.
makes you think, Jay, like Doom 3 doesn't really fit. I also don't think Doom 3 fits within the gameplay that they created for Doom Eternal and the way that you learn how to play that game. So I don't think it fits at all. So I think they have to do something new. Or do they, Jay, do they go to Quake? Like what?
Hope not. I mean, what they've got Wolfenstein, Doom, Quake, and Rage. They're like their 4 things, right?
Yeah.
So what do they do? They do one of those 4, or do they do something different?
Hmm.
I really hope they don't go back to Wolfenstein. I really hope they don't go back to Doom.
They're not going to go
I
back to
really don't want to go
Wolfenstein.
back to Rage, and I really don't want to see Quake. So if there's any of those 4 things, I'll be disappointed. Let's put it that way.
So we're looking at something new, right?
We want a brand new IP. I need to start something like you know me. I say this every podcast. New IP, please. I need something new. Like almost every time I've enjoyed a game in recent memory, it's been a new IP or like one something I like. I like to be surprised.
Sure.
Like Quantum Break is the one I always come back to. Like that came out of fucking nowhere, and it blew my mind, and I'm very happy about it. And I want to see a sequel really bad. Like they've been speaking about it on Twitter for the last year. And the guy who played the actor who was like the main guy in it speaks like, yeah, I want to be in it too. It's like
Sean
they're not
Astin?
making it, so
Is it
it's
Sean
like
Astin?
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Guy who played
Well, to be
Iceman.
fair, Jay, they're literally making Alan Wake 2 and Control 2, so
Yeah, so why not? You know,
why
why
not?
not?
Jay, would you prefer an Xbox like d- am I actually going to say this? Would you
Oh,
prefer an Xbox One, early Xbox One era of okay, we're going to make some weird games, we're going to make games that are different. They're not going to be critically acclaimed. They might not even be your jam, but they are interesting.
would I rather that or what? What's
Than
the
what we
second one?
have now, I guess.
Oh, I think I'd probably rather have what we have now. Like I do like all that stuff. It's just that there's not really. It's just it kind of just feels like an indie marketplace at that point, then, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure.
It just feels like all you've got is the Xbox Arcade, and that's it. That's what, I want more than that.
Yeah.
I need to broaden them, more broad than that. Like I kind of want both, to be honest. Like, that's basically what Game Pass is. It's just sort of become like indie game. We're probably not going to make much money, so if we just go on Game Pass and let people play the game, then we're going to get at least some money.
Sure.
I reckon there's probably people on Game Pass now, indie developers, who probably have made more money on that than they ever would have made independently.
Yeah, completely.
And they also got their name out there, so it's a good thing.
Uh, so what are your 2 games, Jay? What are you feeling?
Yeah, I think whatever it's doing, I'm kind of like hoping it's a new IP.
I'm not sure we're going to hear
Um,
anything from them though. I mean, it's only been a couple of years since they released Doom Eternal, so I don't know what
that's
you
true.
think.
I
You
didn't
think
think
might be a
about.
bit
I
might be a bit
forgot about
early.
time. In that case, then it's definitely Senua, definitely Hellblade.
Yes.
I'm not. I'm not fussed with Fable, but if they do something nice with it, then maybe.
Just very quickly, Jay. What I think you might resemble with if you see something is the Britishness of it.
Yeah, but who's it being made by? Is it being made by? It's not.
Playground, who made
Yeah, so
Forza.
not Lionheart, obviously, right?
No, they're
Because they're
gone.
not
They're long
around
gone.
anymore.
Yeah.
I'm honestly only really looking forward to
Hellblade.
Senua.
Yeah.
And I wasn't before I played it a couple of weeks ago. So what else would I have been excited for?
All right.
I don't really know what Contraband's even about, honestly. So that I'm not really sure.
I think it's about Mexican cartels.
Maybe not then. That's definitely not my bag. Yeah, I
Um,
honestly don't know. I couldn't tell you. I think Senua is the only thing I'm looking forward to, which is probably a good thing because I just want to be surprised by this point. Whatever happens, happens, and I kind of just want to be blown away by something new, you know?
okay, here's one for you, Jay. I have no idea about this, right? But there was some rumors that the coalition who make Gears of War. Now,
Yes.
I do think Gears 6 is in
I really
development.
hope. Oh God. Damn it.
But there was rumors that they were making something else completely. They were
Right.
even working on their engine for a couple of years, I believe. So
Yeah, I mean, if Coalition are doing something, it just has to be new. Just stop making Gears games. They're not going to sell. They've been like their sales have just dipped over years. It's like there's no point in making them anymore. Nobody's going to play that shit.
I'll tell you what else. You remember that? You remember Perfect Dark, Jay?
Do I remember it? It's awful. Yes, continue.
Yeah, well, the new one by the
Yeah,
initiative.
no, I really hope that game flops.
Oh, harsh,
I
but
really
true.
do. I hate Perfect Dark. It's just a shitty version of like an old James Bond game. It's kind of what it feels like.
Jay, I'm looking at this list, right? And I'm thinking, what the F would they have done if they didn't acquire like 20 studios?
They wouldn't have had anything.
They wouldn't have had anything.
Nothing. They would have had Forza.
And like Gears and Halo. What the hell were they doing?
Yeah, man. I think the situation's actually a lot worse than we think it is. I can't wait till they get buddy Activision Blizzard. They're actually going to have some stuff available.
Oh my god, man. Arcane, obviously Redfall's just come out. Nice.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Do you know what sucks about that, Jay? Is that it just puts back the wait for a great game from a great studio, like another 3 or 4 years. That's what's frustrating about that. I don't even play those games.
If they're like developers who are working with Xbox right now, being like, "Oh no,
Sure,
our game's basically the same level as Redfall. We need to do something about that."
sure. And Tango Gameworks, like Thingy just came out, didn't it?
Yeah, we're not going to. I mean, apparently they are working on two things at once, which one of them was Hi-Fi and one of them something else. So I don't know.
Ghostwire came out only last year though, so
People are thinking it might be Evil Within 3, but I don't know. Hard to say. I know Arcane are now hiring for Deathloop 2, so
yeah, sure. Okay.
because the voice actor leaked some shit.
Oh dear. They do that a
But,
lot.
Yeah.
Let's move on, Jay.
It's always voice actors. Like even the guy for the new Wolverine game was talking about shit.
Really?
Yeah, he had to delete his post.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
that's hilarious. I reckon we'll see Wolverine, by the way, in the PlayStation.
Oh, dude, that's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll be the size of Miles Morales though, like a 20-hour
No,
game?
I'm hoping it'll be Spider-Man level, and I'm hoping it won't be a woke mess either.
They're not too bad at that. I thought Miles Morales was quite a touching story, actually.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the Spider-Man seems to be out from that because it's just Insomniac. But I mean,
Yeah.
you never know nowadays, do you?
Yeah, true.
They try to slip it in where they can.
Right, next up. Funnily enough, despite our last pod's news story, Xbox's Activision Blizzard deal approved by European Commission.
And literally about 10 minutes ago, I checked Twitter. It's been approved by China now as well.
Approved by China too. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
the UK could be the one blocking it. Wow.
Out of the 39 countries that have been asked to approve it so far, 38 have said yes. The only one who said no, the UK.
What? So they've got every approval they need apart from the UK now. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
I think the FTC is still fighting them on a couple things too. The American one.
Right. Okay. Holy moly.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely been some development in the ABK thing. Apparently, the UK government is not very happy with the CMA, being like, "The fuck you doing? We need this business." So there's a chance that the British government could actually change the result if they wanted to. Rishi Sunak is actually like, "Yeah, we need to change this." He's for the ABK deal.
Really?
Yes.
This is so interesting, Jay.
I follow this every day. First thing in the morning, I read it or everything about on Twitter at lunch, and then I read it when I get home. That's all I do. I read about the ABK deal all day.
The fact that
I follow like
Xbox,
5 or 6 people who are like all involved with the actual case.
I can't believe that our government. This is just blowing my mind.
They're very for it because they're like, yo, we want the economy to grow in the UK. Why are you blocking this? So
Sure.
people are genuinely thinking that the CMA and FTC are like colluding with each other with Sony to like block it.
I mean, I
People
wouldn't be
think that Sony
surprised.
is actually paying them to like block it.
I wouldn't be surprised
So
about
it's
that.
very unethical.
Yeah.
Very unethical.
Well,
And honestly, I kind of hope that's the truth, and I hope they all go to prison because that's dumb as shit.
yeah, no, that's
I
no.
hope someone goes to jail for that bullshit.
Sony, you're doing well enough on your own. You don't need to block this shit. Jesus Christ,
but
get a
well
grip.
enough alone. That's a Chevelle song.
There we go.
It's a good one too.
There we go. That came from the European Commission's website, by the way, but all of these come from IGN, summarized as and when. Next up, Sony has announced a PlayStation showcase for next week. This comes straight from
May 24th?
all that May 24th. This comes from all of their social media stuff, and this is the big summer blowout, guys. So get it in the calendar, 9 p.m. UK time on the Tuesday. Jay, is it
Wednesday?
Wednesday. Get it in the calendars. This is going to be nuts.
It's an hour long, a little over an hour.
Can't wait.
I think we're pretty much guaranteed to get Spider-Man. I don't know if we're going to get gameplay. That's what I'm worried about. I'm hoping.
I think we're going to get gameplay. I think they're going to do a state of play before it comes out. I think it's going to come out in September, and we're going to see a good chunk of it at this showcase.
It's funny. September's looking pretty stacked. Because we will mention this in a little while, but the new Mortal Kombat is coming out in September as well.
Yeah. Why, Jay? Why did this come out before the? Because we're going to see this at the PlayStation showcase, right?
What, Mortal Kombat one?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they just wanted to give them a head. I think it's because the pre-orders start today, so they wanted to get the pre-orders ready ahead of time.
Okay.
And they always do this. NetherRealm are known for having a 3-month marketing window.
I think they also released the trailer before the showcase because they don't want it to leak. I reckon.
Yeah, that's probably true too. I think it actually already started to leak before. I think literally about 2 or 3 days before they showed it off, it would already start to leak. So
interesting. Okay. Well, Jay, as you say, Mortal Kombat 12 now revealed as Mortal Kombat 1.
Yes, so for reasons that is going to be difficult to go into, part of the story is there is a time sort of like bending, time travel / god story element that made it so that the world has basically been rebooted into Mortal Kombat 1. So, which has been done 3 times before in the Mortal Kombat universe, but I'm glad it's happening again because I didn't want to go to MK12. I really didn't. It would have got just obnoxious at this point.
What's wrong with MK12?
Just where the story was going, it just would have made it the same shit over and over again, you know?
Right, okay, so you're going to have to explain this to me, Jay, because when I saw this, I thought, okay, we're in a Battlefield 1 situation, and I just thought this is an awful name. An awful name.
So, I think most of the consensus is people are like, oh, thank God.
Really?
Yeah. Story. It kind of makes sense with the story too, because I'll do a brief summary, but there was a part of the villain of the MK11 was this woman with like a time traveling. She was almost like in Marvel, like the Watchers, I guess.
Sure.
Where they could like change time and manipulate the universe to make it so things would go a certain route. If you've seen Loki, you'll also understand the same sort of premise. So yeah, that was sort of like that. But then Liu Kang sort of became a god and was like, "Fuck that shit! I'm gonna reboot the galaxy." Boom, and just reboots the galaxy, and now he's a god, and it's all changed. That's like a brief summary. Liu Kang's a god now.
So. Okay.
And Liu Kang's the one who does like the furious kicks where he goes da 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 da, you know.
Okay, right.
And if you know, you know.
So, when did it get rebooted before? Mortal Kombat 9 was it? Where it was just called Mortal Kombat
3. Maybe 3, 5, and 8. Maybe 3, 5, and 9, something like that. I can't exactly remember.
So
I think I remember 3. It got rebooted. maybe
So when
9
it
as
gets
well.
reboot, right? Okay, so all I
It
remember of
basically means that the universe is sort of like everything that happened in the previous game didn't happen, and now we're just back to where we were in MK1, which is people from Earth, people from the Nether Realm um, collide, and there's a tournament called Mortal Kombat, and they fight each other to the death.
that's cool.
That's essentially it.
Right. Okay. So why? Okay. So let's say the Mortal Kombat 9 reboot, because that's the easiest one for me to go off, right? So that was just called Mortal Kombat, which is fine because it was like a 360 game. You can kind of get away with a bit of a reboot. The graphics look good and whatnot. I feel like that game launched us into this modern era of Mortal Kombat.
Yes, Mortal Kombat has had a resurgence since MK9, 100%.
Cool.
Can I just point out, Mortal Kombat is the best-selling fighting game of all time.
The ninth one.
All of them.
Oh,
Mortal Kombat as a franchise.
right.
So it's sold better than Street Fighter. It's sold better than Tekken. It's the best-selling one of all time.
Crazy.
I think MK11, was in recent history the best-selling video game of all time, or like a
Fighting
game.
game. Yeah, that's crazy.
I
So,
think it sold like 20 plus million or something. Like fighting games don't usually sell over 1 million copies. Let's put it that way.
so what I thought was impressive, Jay, was Mortal Kombat 10 and 11 were both
I've played them
gigantic.
all, by the way, and it's
Sure.
weird because you know me, I've fallen off of like fighting games.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to play this one.
Okay.
But yeah, go on. Oh, sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say, like I feel like this modern era, Jay. These games are so big. I'm so like as someone who doesn't even play them, I'm so impressed by everything they
Yes.
do. The story is so fucking big. It's like a 5-hour fucking cutscene movie, and it's a fighting game. Not let alone the multiplayer. Like,
Yeah, no, Mortal Kombat is sort of one of those. It's weird. Like I never really used to be that into it. And then MK9 came out, and I was like, oh, I'm hooked. And then obviously I'd been playing Street Fighter at the time, but Street Fighter 6 comes out in like 2 weeks, and I'm not really that fussed.
oh, Jay, dude, that game looks awesome.
It does. It's annoying, but I feel like I have a lot more fun on the Mortal Kombat than I do on Street Fighter. It's just one of those things where I think I've played it enough to be like, yeah, I'm good. I think.
Sure.
Like I don't know, I think that weirdly, like Street Fighter tries to make the game more accessible every time a new one comes out, but the more you get into it, the more you realize how complicated it actually is, and then it just doesn't become fun anymore.
Like, is it like you kind of, let's say you start in a room, right? And you're sorting out puzzles and stuff, and you're like, oh, yeah, cool. And then you open a door to another 100 puzzles, and you're like, oh my
Like
God.
literally, yeah. Like from the outside, Street Fighter is press these buttons in this order, and you'll take away half the person's health, and then do it again, and you'll kill them, right? And then on the next round, you'll have enough bar for a super, so you can take off a big chunk of their thing and make sure you combo into that super, and it'll be great. But once you get into like past that level, like level 1, level 2 is, well, how do I open up my enemy, my who I'm killing, who I'm trying to fight? How do I open them up so when they're blocking, I can then do actual damage to them? And that on its own is like a bit of a ball ache, to be honest. So it's kind of like there's that, but then you got to think about frame data. Then you got to think about like the meta in terms of tier lists and combos, and you've got to think about uh, matchups. Like certain characters do worse against other characters and better against others. So there's like, let's say you do like Zangief versus Dalsim. Dalsim's going to win that like 8 times out of 10. So it would be called an 8-2 matchup because out of 10 matches it would win most of the time. Like you have to be a really fucking good Zangief player to beat a Dalsim because Dalsim has the reach and the projectiles, and Zangief is a grappler, so he can't ever get in because he's constantly getting hit by the long stretchy arms or whatever. Like it's that kind of thing. Like that's all fun, but it gets a bit draining after a while.
Sure.
And you do have all that in Mortal Kombat. I just feel like it's a bit more fun because like the gore element and the sort of like goofiness of it. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just this is more of a personal thing. But I just don't want to spend money on fighting games anymore.
Sure.
Because I'll start playing it and I won't play it after a week, and I'll just be pissed off at myself.
Well, is there any chance that either of these games will come to PS Plus or Game Pass in the next year?
Well, MK11 is on Game Pass.
Okay.
But it came out 4 or 5 years ago.
Sure.
So
does that mean then? So Jake, a couple of quick questions on Mortal Kombat then, right? So they've been working on, because they didn't do Injustice 3. They've been working on this game for like 3-4 years.
I think almost 5 years. I think by the time it comes out, it'll have been 5 years. Yeah.
But usually they make them in like 2-3 years.
Yeah. So they make a new Mortal Kombat every 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
But in between that, they'll usually release an Injustice or something else.
Sure.
But they haven't done that at all this time. They've been like, fuck it, we're going to spend a lot longer on just MK1.
But what? So that makes me think that does that mean this game is going to be the best Mortal Kombat ever made? Like,
The best one?
yeah.
Hopefully. One detail I can talk about. So, do you know what an assist is in a fighting game?
No.
Okay, so in some fighting games you have it where you know how in a fighting game it's like 1v1, right?
Yeah.
Some fighting games are 2v2 or 3v3, so
Yeah.
you have other characters that you use that come in after your character's been killed.
Yeah.
Or
Or
you can
like
even
hell's
you
gone
can
down. Right?
swap them out as well if you hold down a certain button.
Sure.
But there's in Marvel vs. Capcom 1, it was 1v1, but you could have an assist character come in and like do an attack.
Okay.
They're going to be doing that in MK1. They've literally been like, we're just going to do MVC1 and be like, main character 1v1, but you're going to have an assist character help you if you press a certain button. Which a lot of old fighting game heads are like, fuck yes, finally, like MVC1 is back. But it's now MK1. It's like, oh shit.
Okay. Cool.
So that's pretty exciting for me, especially. Like, I can't wait for that. That's pretty exciting.
Okay. And my other question is, why would they spend so long on this game?
I think they just wanted to, because these games always sell well, so they could have like spent half the time on it, and it would have been just the same.
Well, that's what I mean.
But I think they just wanted to. They wanted to, you know, really see what they could do with it. They wanted to be like, right, what can we do with an extra 2 years? You know,
It's a long time.
yeah. Well, I mean, technically, Mortal Kombat always has the same amount of time, which is 4 years. So they've technically had the same amount of development time. It's just they've not had them making something else at the same time. I think. I mean, they could also have been making something else. We don't know. Like in 2 years, we could get in a new Injustice or a new something. Like I remember Ed Boon, who's like the main, he's the guy. He's the creator of Mortal Kombat. Yeah. I think he put out a poll like 2 or 3, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, being like, I think he listed off 4 games of like, what do you want us to make next? And it was like a Marvel game, a new Mortal Kombat, a Mortal Kombat versus DC game, and like something other, like a new IP. And I think a lot of it was like, obviously, I think the most is probably Mortal Kombat, but a lot of it was like Marvel. And he was saying we've actually like thought about making a Marvel game, and it's definitely a possibility in the future. Like they've had talks with Marvel and Disney, be like, yeah, we want to make a Marvel game.
But like, does that encroach on the Marvel versus Capcom sort of space, or
Marvel vs. Capcom is dead. It's been dead since 2018.
Since the third game?
No, so so they brought out the third game that did really, really well, and then they brought out another game called Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and that just didn't do very well. It was awful. It bombed hard.
Is that the Switch exclusive?
No.
No,
it was everywhere, but it just didn't do very well.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was not great.
Okay.
For mismanagement, most of it, pretty much.
So, do you think if they did a Marvel game, it would keep this sort of same
well, it would basically
gore
be
and
Injustice,
stuff?
but with Marvel characters.
Is there gore
Hopefully.
and Injustice? Is it pretty brutal?
That's a good point. That's probably why that didn't happen. It's pretty graphic. I mean, compared to like Marvel vs. Capcom, which is like all sort of like, you know, cartoony, sort of hitting and punching. There's not really a lot of blood in that. There's no blood.
Sure.
So yeah, I think I don't think NetherRealm would probably be allowed to make a Marvel game. If they'd have to really make it pretty, you know, T for teen, as it were.
Oh, you're right, dude. I don't
PG-13.
even remember Infinite coming out, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you wouldn't do. It was very forgettable.
Oh, shame. I assume they called it Infinite to try and keep it as like a platform that they keep updating, right?
No, I think it was just in line with like the sort of like end of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like I think Endgame was coming up, so they wanted to like introduce characters. Actually, I think it might have even come out just before Captain Marvel came out, and they were like, "Let's get this character known."
Sure.
So like shove her in the game, and then people were like, "We don't like the character. Why the fuck is she in the game?" And then it just didn't. They also didn't introduce any of the characters from like previous, a lot of the characters from previous Marvel games, and so people were like, "What the fuck? This game isn't even like anything close to what we wanted it to be like." It was basically like a shitty version of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, like a way worse version. It was like, why would you do that to yourselves? Just put the characters they basically made the game without the FGC in mind, the fighting game community in mind. They just like, fuck it, we're going to make our own version of it and not even care about the people who actually buy the game. Which is like insane. You're basically making a game for people who aren't going to play the game. It's like, what's the point?
Sure.
You know?
My quick comment also, Jay, what's with the obsession of Infinite as a game title? You know what I mean?
I think, yeah, because AC are doing it. Obviously, Halo are doing it. Have
Bioshock,
done it, and
like,
then
oh, it's
Bioshock.
just everywhere,
I
dude.
think it just gives the consumer an idea of we're going to be around for a while, so
That gives
buckle
me
up,
fucking
kind of thing.
anxiety.
Not
I'd feel better if the
not
game was
me.
called Finite.
I mean, that's kind of what
uh,
Halo Infinite kind of feels like at the minute. Pretty
well, true,
finite to me.
true. Jay, UK, if we move on.
Please, yeah.
So you mentioned obviously you haven't necessarily been playing a lot of games, which is fine. It's sometimes good
Not
actually.
really. I need
But
a bit of a break. I had a bit of a go of it a couple of weeks ago. So
you have been playing a couple of small things. So why don't you tell us
all
about
the small
small
things.
things?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about some of the
All right. I'll
things?
start with Honkai. So I've definitely brought it up maybe in conversation previously. But Honkai Star Rail is made by the same people, Hoyoverse, um, who did Genshin Impact. And
Ah,
obviously,
so this is one
Genshin
of
Impact. Yes, yes, yes.
right.
Genshin Impact had a massive global virality to it. Like it blew up essentially. Um, and so they're like, yeah, let's do that again, but for mobile again, mobile only this time because Genshin was console too.
Is Genshin still
Um,
massive, by the way?
yeah, still pretty big. It's definitely fallen off over the years. It's gotten less and less and less, but very gradually, and it's still making millions and millions every day. But then, so they also made a game called Honkai Third Impact
Okay.
on mobile, which again, massive game. They made that before Genshin, so they were like, yeah, let's go back to Honkai and continue that universe a little bit. So that's what they've did. They've sort of continued that universe in a way, not in the same way, but in a similar way. And it is having a pretty similar impact to Genshin. I wouldn't say it was on the exact same level, but it's currently making more money than Genshin is, I think. So, and Genshin was the number one mobile game in history.
Wow. So is it good?
So it is pretty fucking phenomenal. I don't know. We might have been doing the podcast back then, but the sole reason I have this phone was to play Honkai Star Rail. Like I had a really bad iPhone. I think it was like iPhone 6 or
Seven?
7. Like it
Yeah.
just wouldn't play anything at the
Yeah, I
time.
remember you saying in the pod. Yeah.
And I
Must
was
be
like, as soon as my contract ends, I'm going to get a new one. I'm going to play. This was 2021, November 2021. I was like, yeah, that game should be out in like a few months. I'll be playing it then. Cut to 2 years later, it's still not out. And it's only just, it came out, oh, when did it come out? March? No, beginning of May, I think. So it's only been out 2 weeks or so. But yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. My dad's annoying me. He's gonna hear this, but he's got more 5-star characters than me, and I'm pissed off about it.
Isn't it? Is it pure luck or?
Yeah, it's all luck based, but he's just I'm saving all my in-game currency to be able to pull for characters that I really really want later, but my dad seems to be spending it all, so
Right. Okay.
that's why he's getting good characters. It's because I haven't spent anything yet. But
Playing the
I'm
long
just
game.
sort of like I'm playing that because I mean I don't know if you remember, but I hope that other game, mobile game I've been playing for 704 days now. By the way, Alchemy Stars. I have 150,000 in-game currency on that game, and that is the equivalent to probably about a grand's worth of in-game currency.
Can you sell that?
I could sell the account, but that's technically illegal to do that.
Oh, okay.
I could make about a grand if I wanted to.
Nice.
But that's all that currency is all just from me playing the game for 700 days.
Huh.
I think I've probably made about double that. So I've probably made about 2 grand's worth of in-game currency by not spending a single penny,
Wow.
just by playing the game for 2 years essentially. Yeah, I got my notification on the game the other day. I had played 700 days in a row, and the way I know that, well, part of the great thing about playing 700 days in a row is if you miss a day, it resets back to 1.
Oh.
So I've not missed a single day for 704 days.
Have you ever
And I'm
gotten
pretty
through
proud of that.
Have you ever gotten through a day and you've realised like, oh my god, it's like 11 o'clock and I haven't done it yet?
Yeah, maybe once or twice. I think I was in Germany for work and I was like, oh shit, I forgot.
Oh wow.
And it was like literally like minutes to midnight and I was like, I better do this.
Jesus
I've had it a
Christ.
few times, definitely. But yeah, man, I'm pretty proud of that.
So
But
do you
yeah,
think? Go on. Sorry.
no, go on, you're good.
I was just gonna say, do you think this will also come to console or?
No, I think they said they were going to potentially do it, but I think if it's good enough on mobile, there's not really much point. I mean, you can play it on PC, so I think most people are playing it on PC. Honestly, I thought you were going to ask me whether it was going to stick around as long as Genshin.
Well, I just don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it'll be around. Genshin's been out since September 2020, so it's been out almost 3 years. I think this will stick around. Whether it'll be around for as long, I'm not sure, but I think it has the longevity.
So is there thinking that we could have multiple games doing similar things, and that would make more money, even though it would diversify the Genshin audience, if that makes sense?
Yeah, they know that people that, but I think part of the reason is because they could see the decline of Genshin. So like, right, we need to make something that's going to revitalize that money we were making before.
Right. So even though Genshin's still massive, it is slowly declining, like all things.
Yeah, I mean it's been 3 years. I mean people slowly wean off that kind of stuff.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense.
They're also making another game. I've definitely spoken about this on the podcast before, called Zenless Zone Zero.
Mm-hmm.
So Triple Z.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, I think each of these games are similar in art style, but they're all different games. Like Genshin is an action game where you have 4 characters on a team, but you can only play as one character at a time. But you can switch whenever you want, so you sort of switch it between combos and stuff. Whereas Honkai is a turn-based game, so you play as all 4 characters in a team, and it's turn-based. You sort of like take your turn basically.
Wow.
Which
Okay.
you know me, I'm a turn-based guy, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
made it even more fun for me.
Well, wasn't part of the Genshin appeal that it was kind of Breath of the Wildy, or?
Yeah, yeah. Whereas this kind of is, but there's no climbing in this, or there's no verticality in this. It's all ground level.
Okay.
So and it's all like it's a bit like the difference between Dead Island 1, Dead Island 2, where you had like you had like an area that was like a big open world area in the first game, which is Genshin. Whereas in this one, you have lots of little areas you can travel in between, which is like Dead Island 2.
Okay. And also, after you've played this game, can you see why this game would need a new phone? Out of curiosity.
Yeah, no, my old phone wouldn't have even come close to being able to play this.
Really?
Yeah, I struggled to play Genshin on my last phone, so
Sure.
yeah, I only ever really played it on console. But yeah, no, it definitely needs it. I'm glad it does. I mean, even when the last update came out, my phone struggled a little bit. I was like, oh god, that's not good. I think I have to play it on medium just to be able to do it.
Wow.
Well,
So, what sort of so like would it be like the whatever the hell it's called now, the Pro Max or whatever? Would that be the only one which
yeah, was it the 13 that's out now?
14?
14?
Like the
One of
14
those.
Pro Max would be the
If
one.
I was using that, I'd probably be able to play everything on Ultra and it'd be fine. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So are some people
I don't
buying
need that. I don't need that.
Are some people buying the top of the range iPhone? Like, I assume some kids are buying top of the range iPhones just to play the games on.
No, I think if you're a mobile gamer, you've probably got an Android. If I'm honest,
Oh, are they better?
Android's
at
better
games?
for mobile games.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay. All right.
they're basically like a mobile game. Androids are more like emulators, whereas iOS is more like for everything else.
Fine. Okay. So here,
But I
iOS
don't
is
like
better in
Android.
everywhere. Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And you're going to play the Street Fighter 6 Open Beta, which is this weekend.
Yeah, I'll probably dabble, but again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm kind of waiting for the Mortal Kombat beta if there's going to be one. I'm pretty sure there's. Actually, I think today or at some point in the next week, there's going to be okay. So when Mortal Kombat 11 had its marketing, they had what's called the Combat Cast with 2 Ks because they spell everything that has a C or a K. They always
Sure.
put K in front of it.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, so the Combat Cast was sort of like this weekly thing where they'd sort of update you on Mortal Kombat news. I think they're bringing that back, hopefully.
Okay.
So I'll be keeping up with Mortal Kombat news as best I can. I'm hoping they're going to talk about a beta for the game. I think there is going to be a beta for the game in August. Yeah, August.
Okay.
So I'm more looking forward to that than I am Street Fighter. I mean, Street Fighter is like I'm sort of beyond it at this point a little bit.
Well, you say that, Jay, though, but what are the chances that you play this beta and you can't wait for the game to come out?
No, I don't have the capacity in my brain anymore for that information. It honestly, it just takes so much out of you. Yeah, like you need a lot of brain. You need a lot of like I could play it super casually.
Sure.
But it'd be a waste of money, I think, at that point. If it was free to play, it'd be worth it, but it's not. So
Interesting.
it's much like Overwatch. Like Overwatch is the only reason I play it is because it's free to play. If that game had been 60 or 70 quid, I wouldn't have ever bought it.
But Overwatch isn't that complicated, is it?
No, but in terms like you have to be good at the game to do
Sure.
well,
Okay.
and it's same. So I could play. I play the game fairly casually, but I'm fairly good,
Sure.
and I could do the same with Street Fighter. Like I could be casual, but I would want to get better,
Sure.
and I wouldn't be able to do that unless I put the work in.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm just not. I just don't want to put the work in. I just can't be asked.
Fair enough. Okay.
It's too much of an effort.
All right. Fair.
You missed something.
Yeah. Well, I thought you wanted to talk about this last because you
Oh,
were
go for
pretty
it.
jazzed about it. But the Diablo 4 beta.
Diablo 4 Server Slam is what it was called.
Service Slam.
You could only get to level 20 in this one, not 25.
Okay.
And as long as you got to max level and you beat the world boss, you got a special in-game, what do you call it, like skin thing, you know.
Sure.
They give you a special reward for the game, which they did for the last beta as well.
Is it any
I
good?
was a bit worried because I got to level 20, but I didn't beat the first time round. I did not beat the world boss, and everyone was like, "Oh shit, is this really difficult? Like, are we not going to be able to do this?" But then we realized that we were actually on the higher difficulty. That's the reason why we didn't beat the world boss. So we put the difficulty down back to easy, and we beat it the second time, so it's fine.
And how was the world boss?
World boss is great. It was the same as beta. We already knew what we were doing. Pretty easy.
Cool.
Same old, same old.
Okay.
But like I say, the beta size is about 20% of the actual game itself. So, and the beta is massive, fucking huge.
In terms
Oh,
of
God.
the world
Size, yeah, it's ginormous.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Takes ages to do everything just in the first bit.
Did you do everything?
No, I wouldn't be. I'd have to play it all day, all night to be able to do everything.
Right. Okay.
Let's say I started when the beta began and kept playing until it had finished, I probably wouldn't have got it done everything.
Okay.
And we're talking like 48 plus hours.
Jesus.
Yes. Exactly.
Why is it so? Why put so much of the game in it? It's a beta. Like why
That's what
keep
I'm
some
saying.
of
But
it?
that's a fifth of the game. A fifth.
Oh, Jay, you give me
And they
anxiety
only
by how
just
big this-
showed off.
Oh,
They only just showed off the full map the other day, and it's fucking ginormous. I can't wait.
I don't
Let's
know
put it
how I
this way:
feel
this
about that.
Diablo is the biggest Diablo game.
But I thought Diablo was better off in terms of doing the same world, but the maps are auto generated, and you're a high level, like Diablo 3. Do you know what I mean? Like there's 4 worlds, but
Yes and no.
okay.
Yes, the dungeons are like randomly generated, I guess.
Sure.
But the actual world itself is a constant. It's sanctuary. Like it's a pretty big country. I guess you could put it at that.
Okay.
Like if you look at Diablo 1, 2, and 3 and 4, in different parts of Sanctuary you've allowed to have gone to.
Yeah.
I think there's only been one crossover, which I think was between Diablo 3 and 4.
Okay.
Or it might have been 3 and 2. Like the Sanctuary's a big place. There's even places in Sanctuary we haven't been to yet out of 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's still places they can still go to.
Sure.
So yeah, lots to look forward to. Lots of different biomes, and there's like a desert area, a swampy area, an ice area.
Okay. Cool.
Lots to look forward to. But the one thing me and you have been talking about a lot is what class am I going to be playing as, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I was talking to you, and you were like, right, gun to your head, and I was like, okay, God, rogue, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But I'm even questioning that again. I'm just like, oh, God. Like, it changes every day, because people are finding new builds, new metas, new potential builds, because a lot of it is like theory crafting of, like, what could this build do versus this one. There's like every day it changes, so I'm constantly like, oh, okay. I think the one thing I can say is that Sorcerer sort of seems to be the middle of the road class, like the one that's not too tanky, not too much damage. It's sort of like right in the middle, which you'd think me being me, the Goldilocks, would be like, oh, that's what I'm going for. But I like glass cannons and I like tanky characters, so I kind of want to go either end of the spectrum rather than in the middle.
Well, you probably go both anyway, right?
I'll do all of them eventually.
Sure.
And there has kind of been leaked a 6th class. There's potentially been a 7th class as well, but people don't quite know if it's true.
Right. Okay.
It's a rumor that has some level of evidence behind it.
So is there any chance that what I'm afraid of is that should you wait until the game comes out anyway because they might change stats for certain things?
Yes, there'll be annoyingly launches. Let's put it this way: if I choose my class day 1, by day 3 we'll know if I've made the right choice.
Sure. You might have
And this is,
finished.
by the way, this is early access. It comes out June 1st.
Yeah.
The game doesn't officially launch till June 5th.
Okay.
So I'll have played the game 4 days before some people have even touched the game, and I'll know whether or not what class is the best class, probably.
Well, you would have played through the game by then, right?
No, I probably would have maybe just started the second area.
Second area.
If I was lucky, I might have just started the second area.
Okay. The second. Right. Okay. Now
And
I'm
there's
having a
5
fucking
areas.
panic attack. Right. Okay.
5 areas.
Any idea on the achievement or trophy list at all at the moment, Jables?
No, honestly, I haven't really thought about much. I'm kind of more concerned about gearing my character. That's like I'm having a bit of anxiety about, because this game is sort of revolves. They keep saying the game isn't revolved around loot, but it really is. Like they're making a point as like, yeah, loot really isn't that important in this game. Like you can have sort of anything and do really well. Fuck that. Everything that's changed about the classes in like the meta of like debates and stuff, the only thing that makes a character good realistically is the loot and what you get on your loot. Because there's
Sure.
like certain things that makes it so your skills are improved in certain ways, and like most of the build is determined by what loot you have.
Okay.
Like skills really are important in this. They've definitely made it more of a like your skill build is very important, but they've kind of downplayed the fact that loot is actually really important.
Like sort of Borderlands important or like another game?
Yeah. I guess Borderlands important is a way of putting it.
Okay.
I'd say it's actually pretty much like that, yeah. Because like your build, I'd say Borderlands Wonderlands. I'd say your skills were probably the thing that actually made your. Actually, no, it was the loot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was the guns, man? Yeah, yeah. I guess Borderlands is a good example.
Okay.
But I mean, they've nerfed a lot and they've buffed a lot, and it doesn't they. I think that a lot of the classes were very overtuned in some of the early betas, and they've now made them feel so undertuned that it just feels like, why the fuck am I even playing this? It just feels awful
So
now.
they're still balancing stuff.
Yeah, but they haven't done a great job. Depending on who you ask, it's either they've done an amazing job or a terrible job.
So Jay, my question then. So Diablo 4 as a general, as a game, right? How is it stacking up with Diablo? Like we both love Diablo 3. Diablo 3 has mainly been the only Diablo I've ever played, but I loved playing it. Are we looking at a polished Diablo, which we always wanted? Are we looking? Is this going to be that follow-on that we always wanted?
100%, yes.
Okay.
I think graphically it is the most impressive and definitely the best looking Diablo.
Okay.
I think ambition in terms of like story and character progression in the game, 100%, it's the best it's ever been.
Okay.
Loot wise, could be improved, but still probably the best we've had. Weirdly, I actually think this. It's funny. This actually, from the outside, you'd think it'd be the most accessible, but Diablo, but it feels less accessible than Diablo 3.
Really?
Yeah, I'd
To,
say
yeah,
so.
to
I
be
think
fair
you
though,
kind of need to be a bit more of a Diablo fan to like understand the game properly.
but to be fair, Diablo 3 was, I would say, would you argue to Borderline 2 accessible or?
Yeah, I'd say it was on the line of getting close to accessible.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, this one feels more to Diablo 2 form. Like this, let's put it this way: this might as well have been called Diablo 2 2.
Sure. Sure.
It's gone back to that gritty kind of hardcore Diablo, which I think is a good thing. I don't think people would have liked it if it had been Diablo 3 2. You know,
Yeah. Agree. I agree. I agree. I
people would
agree.
have been pissed off.
I need to go for a quick pee, Jay, and then we will carry on.
Cool. I'll listen to some music. What do I want to listen to? Maybe some Chevelle. My voice is going.
Sorry about that. That's because I had a decaf coffee. The Wii is so urgent and so.
When you're singled out. Huh?
I was just saying, when you have a decaf coffee, like the need for a Wii just elevates. It's like you have to go. Anyway.
You know what's funny? We've been talking about Diablo this entire time. I forgot that when I was playing Diablo 3, Chevelle was like my discography for that entire game.
No way.
Yeah, that's another reason why I love them as well.
Do you think?
Like, you have that, right? There's certain games where you're like, oh, that album or that band is that game for me.
Here's one off the top of my head. Volume 3, Subliminal Versus Slipknot, Skyrim.
Ah, very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, no, totally. I sometimes wonder, Jay, like, does it ruin either one of those mediums a little bit, or do you know what I mean?
No. It elevates it.
Both of them.
Yeah. Like I like Chevelle more because I played Diablo during it, and I like
Sure.
Diablo 3 more because I had Chevelle on at the same time.
Dude, Diablo's such a great music game.
Oh yes, perfect. Especially it's funny. My first playthrough of Diablo 3, no music.
Mm.
Second playthrough, Chevelle.
Sure.
But my second playthrough was more enjoyable than my first playthrough.
Third playthrough, Celine Dion.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very good.
Love it.
Very
Love
good.
it.
Okay. So, Jay, I haven't been playing too much, and there is a game I have been playing which I think you
Your
might.
last achievement was like 20 days ago.
Ah, well,
So
I'm
you've
on.
probably been on PlayStation.
I'm
the
on the
entire time.
PlayStation, but I will.
Oh,
I will
God.
say I am genuinely not playing that much at the moment. I'm trying to give myself a bit of a break so that I want to play when I do play. Does that make sense?
That's kind of where I'm at right now. Because I've got Diablo in 2 weeks. So
Sure. So I have been playing something on PlayStation, which I think you'd be very surprised by if you don't know I'm playing it. So I don't want to talk about it just yet. I want to talk about it when I finish it. But I think you'll be pretty fucking surprised I'm playing it. The main thing I want to talk to you about, Jay, is where I'm at with Dark Souls. I'm going to keep talking about Dark Souls. I'm going to keep updating you where we're at, okay?
Going,
right, so here's where we're at, okay? So I've gotten up to the point of the game where I've got to get the 4 big Lord Soul things, right? And I've got to fill the Lord Vessel. So, first question, Jay. Am I okay? Okay, I'm...
I don't know, are you?
No.
You're all right?
No. I am stuck on Gravelord Neo, okay?
Oh, that's a beautiful one, dude.
That boss run
I knew you'd get stuck on
sucks.
that. I knew you'd get stuck on that one. That's hilarious.
I've only tried to kill him 2 or 3 times, okay? But one, I haven't actually done the boss run properly because I have run past him every time, so I probably need to do it properly, really. But it sucks, Jay. And I've now got a divine weapon to help me with the spawning of skeletons, because apparently the skeletons won't respawn if you kill them with a divine weapon, right? So I'm going to try that next time I'm in with him. And like, hopefully, I think I can avoid his attacks enough to kill him, I think. So I
really think we need to have a Dark Souls episode.
Okay.
We need to go through every boss, and I want to get your opinion, if you can remember.
We can do that. We can do
That'd
that.
be great.
Can we do a Bloodborne one?
Sure.
Can we do Bloodborne 1 today?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
I'd have to remember.
We'll pull them up. We'll pull them up.
7 years, I think, since I played it. Maybe longer.
Or do you want to play? I assume you don't want to go back and play it to find out, do you?
I'd love to, actually, but I don't know.
Well, we can play it before we do the podcast if you want.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk about it.
All right. So this is where I'm at. So I haven't actually got that many more areas to go, though, I believe, right? Like, I've got the Duke Archives and the Crystal Dragon. I've got
Dark Souls games you can sort of play in any way you want. That's kind of what's so great about them. You could literally go from the first boss to the last boss in like
20 minutes.
Yeah, like really no time at all.
Yeah.
You could technically defeat the last boss with no armor and a single weapon.
Yeah, I've seen that.
A club and no armor. It's great.
So, my question for you, Jay, am I okay? Because I'm stuck on Gravelord Neo, and I did this in Bloodborne. I want to go to another area, level up a bit, and come back.
I mean, that's pretty much the whole point of Dark Souls, yeah.
Well, CJ, some people would argue, oh, Nick, you need to push through and go through the punishment and torture of doing this until you win. And I'm just thinking, but why would I do that when I can go to 3 other areas, discover the areas, find some items, find some souls, level
Yeah,
up,
level up.
and then come
Yeah,
back?
yeah.
That
Sounds
just
like a
makes
great idea.
it's a fucking RPG, bro. Like, isn't that what you?
That's kind of the point.
Okay.
Like, I definitely think there is an order in
Well,
quotes,
I'm following the IGN wiki,
the
and they say
dedicated one.
Gravelord Nito's first, but I'm not sure about that.
First, as in like the first boss that you do.
The first of the Lord vessels, yeah.
Let me remind myself who the Lord Vessels
So
are.
you got the Seath the Betrayer, whatever the hell, Seath the Scaleless.
Hang on.
Oh, okay.
Lord Vessel bosses.
Du, 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 du. Do you still listen to Avril Lavigne?
I follow her on TikTok.
Oh, cool. Okay.
She's got some interesting stuff.
Stay with me.
Okay, so yeah, it's Seath the Scaleless, right?
Yeah.
Four Kings,
Yeah.
Grave Lord Nito, and the Bed of Chaos.
Oh, what about the Witch of Izalith? No? Is that
I don't think that counts as one, does it?
okay?
Oh, there was only four.
Yeah, same. I thought the Witch of Izalith was the fourth, but I could be wrong.
The Bed of Chaos, no?
Okay, yeah, I haven't done that bit, so I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, so know about Grave Lord. Four Kings. Oh man, the Four Kings one is an interesting one. I'm guessing you haven't done that one yet either.
Nope. I have
Yeah,
seen it though.
you're gonna have fun with them ones. Jesus Christ.
I have seen it though. So
It's fun. I think they've all got the same HP.
really, are you sure? I thought the Four Kings were quite easy.
Yeah, I think they've all got 60k. Oh no, that's wrong. 60k souls is what they give you.
Wow, that's a lot.
Um, but then actually, what? Yeah. Okay. Interesting. All right. So yeah, what about the Lord Vessels then? So in terms of order of doing them, I don't
Yeah,
know. That's a difficult one. It's a little bit like a Mega Man type thing, isn't it?
right. Well, anyway, I'm thinking that I'm going to go to another area, and see how I get on.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Because, as I
Um,
say, in my mind, when I was playing Bloodborne, if there's another area I can explore, I can always just come back to the bit I'm stuck on. Right, until I'm stuck on a bit and I've done every other part of the game, then I'll need to push through. That makes sense. I get that, but
depending on where I Google, either which is the fourth one or the Bed of the Chaos is the fourth one. So I don't actually know. I can't
maybe it's like
remember.
one and the same. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they are the same. I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's where I'm at. So
Okay.
I've just picked up a really good weapon when you join the Grave Covenant, where
Okay.
when you sleep in the coffin. Um,
Yes.
and
Oh, dude, the sleeping in the coffin. That is like one of those things you see in every Dark Souls game, and whenever you see it, you're like, "Yay, the coffin!"
oh really?
Yeah, it happens in Elden Ring, and I was like, "Oh God, thank God the coffin's there. I'm glad they didn't take it out. That's so
Oh,
good."
that's funny, dude. That's funny.
Yeah, it's like one of those things.
So
That's hilarious.
so I got a really good weapon, which apparently is like one of Neo's weapons or something.
Yes, he's got a good weapon.
So I'm using that along with a spear that I've upgraded, and as I say, I've just got a divine longsword which I upgraded as well. So here's
Hmm.
my strat, Jay. I'm going to go to the other areas, see how I get on. My next question for you is: the painted world worth going to?
Oh yes, yes,
Okay, okay, okay,
definitely,
okay.
definitely.
Jay, do you?
I'm
There
pretty sure
must.
they come back to that in the second one too.
Oh, spoilers. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, everything I'm saying here, by the way, everyone's saying Neo is the hardest one.
brilliant, brilliant.
So everyone's been like, yeah, Neo just sucks in comparison.
So actually, I've almost done myself a favor here because by the time I go back to him after I've done 3 other bosses, I should be fairly strong.
Yeah, I remember Neo giving me a lot of trouble actually.
That the
Trying to
boss
remember.
run
He
sucks.
did seem like quite an early boss though, so maybe I did do him
Maybe you did him
fairly
early,
early.
but you
I
followed a
feel like I
guide,
might
didn't
have
you?
done Seath last, from what I can remember.
Okay,
Because it almost feels like there's certain areas that the game sort of guides you into,
sure.
and Neo is sort of early. I feel like.
Well, Neo is the great, like the skeleton path right at Firelink
Yeah,
Shrine. So I
yeah.
guess as soon as you're strong enough to kill the skeletons, you're gonna go for
Because
it,
I
I
feel
guess.
like the Seath area is like one of the harder ones because it's basically a platforming area, but it's like you could die at any second.
Sure.
It's a really awful area to go through. It's one of the harder ones to go through.
Jay, I definitely think the level design in these games, right, makes
Genius.
them very memorable. Like I reckon you can still, if
Well,
you
I'm
played
literally I'm
it
talking to you about a game I haven't played since 2008,
right,
and I still remember a lot of the shit. You know.
it's got quite a striking
Man.
impact on the memory like that. Like no, not much level design has that sort of impact. I think maybe we're losing that a bit with open world games, perhaps. I don't know. Like, because they've
Man,
got it's a linear path, so they can choose how to present it to you. Whereas an open world
yeah.
game has to provide 5 options of how you approach a situation, if that makes sense. Whereas Dark Souls is more a case of here's the situation, you need to navigate around it.
So you haven't gone up against Witch yet, no?
No, sir.
I seem to remember that one being fairly easy.
What route is she?
It's quite like a
Anolondo.
fiery bog type area. I can't
Oh,
tell you
the
what it's called.
demon, yeah. The demon. What's it called? I forgot what it's called. The demon area
I
with all the
can't remember.
lava.
I mean, you've got. I think you've got the demon fire sage there, and I think you've got the witch as well.
Yeah, I know what area you mean. That
I
area
think
scares me, but yeah, I'll go down it. That's fine.
most areas in the game are pretty scary. That's kind of the thing.
They
I
seem
would say
scared.
my favorite boss is definitely the Wolf Sith, 100%.
Oh, okay, sure.
It's like the one that is like everyone remembers. I think.
Because it has that Shadow of the Colossus effect where you kill it and you feel bad, or
No, I think it's just like it's a massive wolf with a sword in its mouth.
yeah, it's so cool.
Which you do see that imagery a lot in a lot of the Dark Souls games, by the way. Like that comes up all the time.
Okay,
Like, there's always a coffin and there's always a wolf with a fucking sword in its mouth. It's fucking everywhere.
dude, it's
Hilarious.
surprising how scary these areas still are. Actually, considering I'm playing
Yeah, I'm now
remastered, which came out
looking
in 2012, I think. No,
back at some of this stuff and I'm like, wow, that is. I remember that. That's interesting looking. Yeah.
furthermore, Jay, it's actually quite striking how different Demon Souls is as a
I kind of
game.
want to go back to play this. Honestly, I'm kind of like, oh, should I play Dark Souls again?
Like Demon Souls as a game is like I know I played the remake, right? So it looked, 100 times better than the original. But
Hmm.
that game is so ahead of its time, really.
I mean, it is the first of the Souls games, really, isn't it?
Right. But like
So it kind of set the stage.
it's it's wild actually, Jay. Like Dark Souls is a classic. I completely get that. Um but yeah, Demon Souls is it's not quite as memorable, I would say, as the design of Dark Souls is, and some of the areas like you can really feel the sort of finesse in Dark Souls compared to Demon Souls. Like you, it feels a lot more the whole game feels more purposeful. There are some areas in Demon Souls where it feels a little bit like, okay, you got to go down here because we want you to go down here. Do you know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah, Demon
extending the area.
Souls kind of was like the beta to Dark Souls. Really, it was like, what do we do? Let's play this. Let's make this game. See how we feel about it. Right, we'll improve on that next time, and we'll make it a more, you know, formed
Sure,
idea of what we want. And that's yeah. Every game after Demon Souls, sort of, everyone was a new improvement, right? And change this, but this, try this instead. Like I think Dark Souls 2 was quite experimental, I think, in comparison to the rest of the games.
sure.
Dark Souls 3 was sort of like a back to form kind of game. It was like, oh, okay, we want to get rid of that. They didn't really work, so we'll just go back to Dark Souls 1, basically.
Sure.
But like really fucking improve on it. Dark Souls 3 was, oh man, so cool. I really want to go back and play these now. You're like, freak, make me want to go back.
I've heard Dark Souls 3, Jay, is actually. I feel like Dark Souls 3 was sort of there was a lot of momentum from Bloodborne, and that's like one of the
Hmm.
more sort of more favored
That's true.
ones of
That's true. I,
the
I'd say the comparison, weirdly, of Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 is a lot like episode 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars.
right. Okay.
Very similar. Well, like the first one was amazing because it was the first one. It was back to back to Star Wars. You had pod racing, which is a classic, right? Second was like, okay,
Different.
politics, I guess.
Sure.
And then the third one was like, yo, that fight, sick. That's kind of the best way to describe 1, 2, and 3.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, that's probably my way of thinking about it, I
So
guess.
I'll go through some different areas. I'll go to the painted world to level up to.
Definitely.
And we can obviously talk about more
It
Dark
might be
Souls in the
worth
future.
Googling certain areas and like level that you should be in each area. Because
Okay.
that's sort of like the main thing about, like, in AC Origins,
Yeah. Got you.
areas, levels recommended.
Yep.
Think of that as that's what Elden Ring is.
Does Elden
But
Ring
that's
tell you that?
mm,
No.
no, but it sort of became more of the meta, I guess, online of like you should probably not go to this area until you're at least this level. And I feel like that's what it should be with Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. So I recommend Googling if someone has a map they've made that tells you each area and each recommended level for each one, because
Okay.
it's usually going to be good to follow that kind of thing.
Okay. You
Yeah,
got it,
I
boss.
definitely recommend. I don't know if there is one because I didn't know that was a thing back then, but I would recommend it.
Okay. I've got it. Yeah, there seems to be a website, so I will check it out. Thank you very
Yeah, there's
much.
tons of stuff. Extra Life is usually one of the best places to go.
I will let you know how I get on. Oh, also,
Okay.
Jay, I
I'm
did have.
honestly, I'm kind of like excited for you at this point. Like watching someone go through this is like, oh, cool, awesome,
Yeah, no,
a bit
fair.
satisfying.
I'm
I'm like absorbing the satisfaction.
Well, fortunately, because it's a game that's very much about the playing it, it's still very, 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 very fun to play.
It's weird because I now have all this like knowledge and I guess skill
mm,
in Dark Souls. I kind of want to apply that to Dark Souls 1 and see if it improves my experience.
sure.
I want to see if me being a better player now would actually make the game easier or more enjoyable. I don't know. Maybe it'd make it worse.
Oh,
Hard to
dude,
say.
I thought I was over leveled. I was wrong. I was so wrong.
Are you extremely underleveled?
Let's
And
have a
by how
look.
much? Tell me.
No,
What
I'm
level are
I'm
you currently? I'm going to guess you're in like the 40s or
I'm
something.
62.
Oh, that's higher than I thought.
So the
Grave
four the four
area?
thingamajigs,
Vessels, yeah.
they're all
Vortexes.
saying, well, Nito, Seath, and the Four Kings are all saying 50 to 70, 75. And then they're
Okay,
saying
so
the
you're
Bed of
roughly there.
Chaos is up to 80. And then
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree with that.
Gwyn's up to 70 to 100.
Yes, definitely. Gwyn
So
is end game stuff, so
so and they're also saying Painted World of Aramius, whatever that's, is saying
uh-huh.
60 plus 2, but that seems like high level to me. Because I did Ornstein and Smough when I was like level late 40s, maybe early 50s, and that's in that
About
place.
right, yeah.
So is it really that, you know?
Well, that's the thing. You can have areas within areas that are higher.
Sure.
There's like certain places you shouldn't go and come back to later,
I
kind
think
of
I'll
thing.
do the Four Kings and then maybe go to the Duke Archives.
Okay. Ooh, the Duke Archives, dude. I
Mate,
was always scared to go into the Duke Archives. That
well,
always
they're
scared the shit
saying
out of me.
there's. Oh, okay.
You
Interesting.
never like Duke Archives is just full of mages and they decimate you.
Oh.
You're not going to enjoy that one, I don't think.
They're saying that Neo is not as hard as the Bed of Chaos in
It's more
terms
of a
of
skill
levels.
issue.
In terms of levels.
Yeah, it's more of a skill based thing.
Yeah, I guess I
What
could
what
try it
they're
out.
basically saying there is for someone who maybe isn't as skilled and just wants to go off of pure power, you're talking more about that, I'd say.
Furthermore, Jay, you know Elden Ring, right? Try
I
not
do
to
know it.
spoil anything for me if you can.
I
But
will try not to.
in terms
Still haven't
of
completed it yet.
sure, in terms of area and levels, um,
Oh yeah, this is a good question.
is
I know this
is
very
is
well.
is there not more of an opportunity to become over level because it's such a big game? Or is it just that well designed that there is always really?
Second one, yeah.
That's fucking mad.
Although I did grind to overlevel.
Okay, sure.
There's one area you can go to. You can just like cheese it, and you get like a level every 6 minutes or so,
Right, okay.
give or take. Although I think there's actually a route you can take where if you start the game, you can get to like the mid game point, or like almost to the mid game point within the first like 20-ish minutes. and you can be like level 40-ish, I think, within the first 20 minutes, which is what I did. I just sort of I skipped past a load of stuff and then went back to the beginning and right, I'll go through it now. And I
Okay.
struggled then. I struggled even at like over level. I struggled. So
Dude, I'm just thinking, right? Like the culture that has been created from Dark Souls is so
fun.
distracting. Well, actually, I was going to say the bad culture is so distracting from like people will make you believe like you shouldn't even know, like you shouldn't even follow anything. You shouldn't look up anything. You should just do everything blind, right? Like
Okay.
like enjoy the challenge. Like you shouldn't know where to go for the best weapon. You shouldn't all this kind of bullshit, right? And I'm like,
To a degree, yeah.
that's
I mean, it
just
depends on how you get what you where your enjoyment comes from. Does it come from the challenge and the adventure,
right,
or does it come from the skill after having known what the knowledge is? For me,
right,
it's the second one. Like I want to download the information, and then I want to be able to be like, right, now can I put that knowledge into practice rather than trial and error. I'm not much of a trial and error person.
sure,
I am in my work life, weirdly, but not in my hobby in gaming life. I'd rather know everything I need to know, and then be like, right, how do I go from here?
sure,
How do I improve upon even knowing everything? You know,
yeah,
as in you can know fucking everything, but still not be good at the game. So that's like my challenge is knowing everything and proving to myself that I can be good at it even with the knowledge. I like to put my knowledge into practice rather than having to take 100 hours to gain that knowledge and then be good at the game. So I'd much rather be prepared and then gain the skill.
totally,
That's my way of going about. That's personal preference, but yeah.
yeah, no, agreed. Okay, great. Well, let's finish off with some Guess Who's Review, Jay. This episode's turned out longer than I expected. I hope it's still of good quality, but I guess we'll
Well,
see.
it's because we were just trying to like fill, and we filled much more than we thought we were going to.
Well, I wasn't even trying to be fair, but
I wasn't really trying either. But there we go.
okay, well, let's finish off with some Guess Who's Review. So, in case you guys don't know, Guess Who's Review, we pick random game quotes from a random game review, and then one of us has got to try and guess the game. So, let us commence. So, last week, Jay picked the game, so it's my turn to pick the game, of which I have already picked. So, without further ado, let us commence.
Mm.
Jay, let me see what quote I want to give you. Okay, this is very, very broad. Okay, I'm not trying to be harsh, but I think quotes 2 and 3 are fairly obvious. Okay, quote number 1. The first fight with character X had me both laughing hysterically and scrambling frantically for a way to defend myself.
That's extremely vague.
It is extremely vague.
Uh, the first fight with character X.
Yeah.
Go on.
Had me both laughing hysterically and scrambling frantically for a way to defend myself. So we're thinking about a game where you have to defend yourself. We're thinking about a game which has a villain in it or a character which is obviously against you, but is still funny to some extent. To some extent.
Yeah. There's one that comes to mind instantly, but I don't think it is that. I'll tell you what it is in a second.
Okay.
Trying to gauge what kind of game this is, though.
What kind of
Defend
game is it,
yourself.
bro?
'Cause the defending yourself thing is the thing that's tripping me up here. Because if it's a game that has some sort of mechanics in it where you can defeat enemies, you'd think, well, I'm going to defend myself by using my gun or using my sword, whatever, my loot that I have, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if it's a game where you don't actually have weapons necessarily, but you have to defend yourself from maybe things around, it's making me think of a game like Scorn almost, or like a walking simulator that tends to have a weapon in it at some point. You know?
I'll be honest, Jay. Scorn is not that far from.
Yeah, I know. That's what making me think. It's making me think that it's that kind of game,
You're not
almost like
that
a.
far away.
Oh, actually, hang on.
You've been messing with your friends. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I have a
yeah.
guess.
Okay.
I do the first. Say the quote one more time.
The first fight with Character X had me both laughing hysterically and scrambling frantically for a way to defend myself.
No, the comedy aspect of it is ruining my guess. Right, I'm gonna say this, and I think it's wrong.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Borderlands pre-sequel. I know it's wrong.
Incorrect.
Yeah, I was thinking like Handsome Jack.
Handsome Jack. No, fair enough. Fair enough.
That was like my thing. I was like, villain, funny,
funny. No, fair enough. Fair
But
enough.
yeah, Handsome Jack. Borderlands didn't really fit in with the sort of almost like Scorn thing, which is what's tripping me out.
Okay, quick number 2. I think you might get it from this, but let's see.
Mm.
This game has no hiding or heavily stealth-focused gameplay, contrary to what its first-person horror style might lead some to believe.
Yeah, see, now it's making me go back to my initial guess. But that shouldn't be funny.
Don't focus on the funny, okay? Think of it as funny in terms of like frantically defending yourself, but because they're so ludicrous, you're laughing at some of the things they say. You know, a bit like when you see people on stream like running, like they're like, ah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, now this is all throwing me off. I'm gonna throw out some guesses here, and I'm not. These aren't like actual guesses,
Okay,
but in
sure.
my mind, I've got like Alien Isolation and Outlast. That's like my guesses that I've got in my head right now as to like this is where I'm going, but everything you're saying is throwing me off of that direction entirely, and I don't know if I should be worried about that or not.
Again, you're not that far away. You're not as
I
far as you think
know.
you are.
Oh no, that wouldn't be it. Damn it.
You're not as far as you think you
I
are.
know. There's a lot of those types of games that I just don't think about very often, so I probably would never be able to guess it.
Do, 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 do,
God
do.
damn it. Read the first one again.
The first fight with Character X had me both laughing hysterically and scrambling frantically for a way to defend myself.
And then the second one.
This game has no hiding or heavily stealth-focused gameplay, contrary to what its first-person horror style might lead some to believe. You've got this. Come on. You've got this.
It is right there, but I just can't.
You've 100%
I'm gonna make
got
a guess, and I know it's wrong. I'm gonna say Ghostwire Tokyo.
No.
No, I know
No.
it wouldn't be.
Okay, quote number 3.
God
But
damn
even
it,
as
dude.
some succeed and others fall flat, this new first-person take on the formula wisely remembers that it's survival horror adventure composed of tense exploration and careful item hunting, and not solely its action that made its early predecessors memorable.
Right, this is my final guess, and I'm pretty sure it's wrong.
Hold on a
so-
minute, Jay. We're talking about a franchise.
Yes, I know. This is why I think it might be what it is.
Okay.
I think it's Resident Evil 7. Is that the right one?
Is that your answer?
The house one, the one with the fucking. Yeah, it is that. I know it is that. 'cause
It
it
is
was fucking
that. Well
ridiculous.
done.
Yeah.
Well done. Were they
Yeah,
too
I
hard? Were those
know what
quotes too
part it
hard?
was
Too
now.
broad?
No, I got there in the end, but it was difficult.
You were
I
so
can't
close.
remember.
Like Outlast is
I
basically
know.
Resident Evil 7.
I
Like,
know. I could see it in my mind's eye, but I couldn't think
oh,
of what it was.
nah, that's cool.
Took me a second.
It's all good.
Well, I got there in the end.
Got there in the end. Groovy. All right, let's wrap this up.
Let me update the score just so I don't.
Oh, please, yeah. Scores on the doors.
Scores on the doors are currently.
Go on.
I'm 2 points ahead of you.
Ha. Not doing very well.
No. That's funny. My Guess Who's review, like 2 guesses ago, was Mortal Kombat 11. That's quite fun, isn't it?
That is quite funny.
Yeah, I need to make a new one because I don't have any currently. I ran out on the last one. Kill.
So, Jay, do you think I'll be alright to go to the Painted World, like now? Or is it a hard place?
You'd have to Google.
Okay.
You have to get a consent. That's the thing with Dark Souls 1 is not a lot of people really have a good gauge on that kind of stuff. You'd have to, I mean, yeah, you'd have to find someone who was like really good at the game, maybe on YouTube, and had like a good input with it. I don't know.
Sure.
That's a difficult one. I mean, my Dark Souls 1 knowledge is very face value. It's not a lot of like in-depth stuff. Just because back then I was just learning, you know. I don't think I actually got good at Dark Souls until Dark Souls 3, if I'm honest. Took a while to get there.
You reckon?
Yeah, I'd say Dark Souls 1 was sort of like my, oh, I enjoy this type of game, but I'm not very good at it. Like, I'm decent, and well, that's funny you say that. I'm decent enough to complete it, and that last boss is not easy. Um,
Isn't the run really long as well?
yes. It's just quite weird you say it. It's very reminiscent of a couple of indie games I've played where like the last boss like takes forever to get to. It's like he's fucking miles away over there. Um, and yeah, Dark Souls 2 was sort of like I hate this, but I'm still trying to get better at it. I can see the improvement I'm making, and then Dark Souls 3 was like, oh, I'm actually not too bad at this. This is pretty decent. I think that was right after Bloodborne too. So Bloodborne was sort of my like, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this now, kind of game. So there was definitely a slow and steady progression. We finally got there in the end, but it was worth the journey.
Okay.
Which I think it should always be that. It should always be a journey.
Interesting.
Not
So
not a
I assume
destination.
Dark Souls 3 is when you sort of got skilled at the game, shall we say?
Yeah, Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 sort of around that time where I was sort of like confident enough to be like, yeah, okay, I'm not that scared anymore.
Nice.
I used to be scared to play Dark Souls because of the anxiety of like, I
Going
mean,
to a
this is
new
just games
area.
in general, like going to a new area, maybe
Yeah.
dying or losing all my progress, all that kind of stuff.
But you just embrace it now, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
I don't even, that's not even like a thought in my mind as much as it used to be. I'd say it's still there, but it's like 10% of what it used to be.
Sure. Sure. Okie dokie. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, Jay. Good chatting.
Yeah, boys.
We'll chat soon. Have a good day or whatever, everyone. Yeah, have a good day, shall we say? And we will speak to you very soon. Thank you for listening, you bunch of hippies.
Bye bye.